Chapter 1046. Ta! Lin Feng landed on the Da Min mountain range. He spread out his aura detection like a spider web, using the most direct method to search the entire mountain range. Lin Feng instantly found two suspicious auras. With a flash of light, Lin Feng rushed in the direction of the aura detection. Whoosh! The light source emitted a white crane light. A man and a woman could be seen in the distance, fleeing in panic. Although Lin Feng had never seen Zhu Yao and Yao Gui before, their armor had the symbol of the Luo Shen Union, so he was almost certain. Zhu Yao, Yao Gui! Lin Feng shouted. Their bodies trembled violently, and they fled even faster, feeling very guilty. It's them. Clang! Lin Feng's sinful black saber shone brightly as its power erupted. Boom! It will be troublesome if they run away. Black Dragon frowned. And Captain Wild Bull nodded. The Luo Shun Union is united, and Zhu Qing is especially protective. His third team was wiped out. If he finds out who did it, he will definitely avenge them at all costs. With Brother Lin's strength, he will definitely catch those two fish that escaped the net. Youngest sister said confidently. Black Dragon smiled. I also believe that. Senior Lin is too strong. Even the Deadwater Warlord can't kill Yuan Kuei and the other two with one slash. Top-tier Heaven Glimpse. Captain Wild Bull murmured. Strange, there's no one called Lin Feng among the 21 warlords. Could it be an alias? Youngest sister asked. Black Dragon nodded. It's possible. From his age and appearance, he looks like the 21st warlord, the elusive Li Poji. If that's the case, Captain Wild Bull muttered. Brother Lin is back. Youngest sister shouted excitedly. A figure appeared in the distance. It was Lin Feng. He carried the two unconscious martial artists as if they were chickens and landed on the ground in an instant. Pung, pung. Casually tossing those two martial artists to the ground, Lin Feng said, Take a look, is it the two of them? Although Lin Feng was 80% sure, there was still the possibility that he would accidentally hit the secondary car. He didn't want to take the risk. In any case, with his strength, it would be easy for him to knock them out. Even if it was true, it would be good to leave two of them alive. It was a good opportunity to avenge the Bullhorn Squad. It's them. Black Dragon gnashed his teeth and kicked Obsidian Ghost in the waist, breaking his ribs. This is the bastard who killed the Imam. And this vicious woman. Youngest sister frowned and condensed the light origin in her hand into the shape of a sword before stabbing it into Zhu Yao's abdomen. In an instant, blood gushed out and youngest sister cried bitterly. I saw with my own eyes how she tortured big brother Yao. I want to kill her too. As he spoke, he kept stabbing with his lightsaber, crying as he did so. Lin Feng turned around and walked to a secluded corner, quietly waiting for the Bullhorn Squad to vent their anger. He could understand how they felt. Brothers who had been with them for more than 20 years had died in front of them. Anyone with a bit of courage would avenge them. It was over. After venting their anger, the Bullhorn Squad gradually calmed down. What's wrong, Captain? Why are you still frowning? Lin Feng curiously walked toward Captain Wild Bull. Look, Captain Wild Bull took out a jade blue bead. There was a light spot in the middle that looked like the heart of the universe. The outside of the bead was densely packed like stars. It was as if countless planets were orbiting a star. It was very strange. Lin Feng had never seen this before. A holy treasure voice transmission stone. Captain Wild Bull said seriously, with the voice transmission stone, you can communicate directly no matter how far away you are. Oh, Lin Feng nodded. It was similar to a communication device. Lin Feng's eyes flickered, so Captain Wild Bull frowned. When he escaped, he might have already informed Zhu Qing. Zhu Qing was the second in command of the Luotian Alliance. His strength was unfathomable. The Luotian Alliance had always been united. If Zhu Qing's third squad was wiped out, as the president, Zhu Qing would definitely take action if he knew who the culprit was. He was a true life-breaking expert, a transcendent existence that could fight White Tiger King to a draw. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Maybe they didn't have time to inform? Youngest sister forced a smile. That's right. Besides, they might not even know who did it. Black Dragon also felt lucky. Lin Feng shook his head. They ran as soon as they saw me. Although I don't know if they used the voice transmission stone, they obviously knew that I did it. From the panicked eyes of Zhu Yao and Yao Gui, he could infer that if they didn't see him do it, there was no reason for them to be so afraid. Captain Wild Bull let out a long sigh. Brother Lin, we have implicated you. There is nothing to be implicated. Lin Feng smiled. Even without you guys, I would have clashed with the Luotian Alliance sooner or later. Not to mention the Luotian Alliance, he even dared to provoke the Miracle Garden. There was nothing to be afraid of. Although he hadn't reached the life-breaking stage, his battle strength was comparable. Once his strength reached that level, there was nothing to be afraid of. With pressure, there would be motivation. Having another Zhu Qing to beat him wasn't necessarily a bad thing. However, Captain Black Dragon, youngest sister, you guys should go back to the Glory Alliance first and lie low for the time being. Lin Feng advised, it will be dangerous to stay here. If Zhu Qing really attacks, I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of your safety. Youngest sister said, it's okay, Brother Lin. We will meet up with the Deadwater Warlord. Don't worry. Lin Feng smiled. The Deadwater Warlord can't protect you guys. Everyone in the Bullhorn squad was stunned. Lin Feng's words clearly indicated a message. He was stronger than the Deadwater Warlord. Brother Lin, you are confident you can survive against Zhu Qing? Captain Wild Bull asked. Of course. Lin Feng smiled. He might not be a match for Zhu Qing, but if he wanted to kill him, it wouldn't be that easy. The three members of the Bullhorn squad looked at each other. They could feel Lin Feng's confidence. At this moment, they knew how strong Lin Feng was. No wonder he wasn't afraid of Red Buzui in the dry mist valley that day. He had real strength. Okay, Captain Wild Bull said heroically, being able to fight side by side with Brother Lin, I have the right to brag in the future. Ha! He took out a shiny object and threw it to Lin Feng. Ha! Lin Feng reached out and caught it. It was the water caltrip crystal fragment. There's no benefit in holding this thing. It's better to give it to someone who can really protect it. Captain Wild Bull smiled. We are going back to the Glory Alliance. Brother Lin, don't refuse. This is a small gift from us. Thank you for avenging Auntie and Auntie. Lin Feng held the crystal fragment and didn't hesitate. Thank you. Be careful. Remember to treat us when you come back. Captain Wild Bull laughed heartily. Sure. Lin Feng smiled. Chapter 10:47. Yu Huang Immortal Realm. Lin Feng held the crystal shard and murmured. The Yu Huang Immortal Realm was rising, and the secret of the god ruins was slowly unfolding. He was very clear about the function of the crystal shard in his hand. Its appearance must be useful. However, he was still in the periphery of the ruins and had yet to truly discover the secret. The reason why the Bullhorn squad gave him the crystal shard was firstly to repay him, and secondly, to feel guilty. After all, he had offended the number 2 figure of the Luo Shen Union for them, Zhu Qing. Otherwise, they could have turned the crystal shard in or sold it to make a profit. Every loss comes with a gain. Lin Feng kept the crystal shard. In his opinion, it was worth it. Surrounded by enemies, Lin Feng was filled with fighting spirit. He instantly sped away, not caring about the dangers and challenges. Only then would it be meaningful for him to enter the god ruins. Inside the great ruins, this was the core area of the god ruins. Danger lurked everywhere. Heaven Glimpse experts did not dare to barge in, but some experts could still enter and leave freely. For example, the number 2 figure of the Luo Shen Union, Zhu Qing, a pillar that reached the sky. Zhu Qing was more than 2 meters tall, but he was as thin as a skeleton. His iron claws made people shudder. At this moment, he was gnawing on the flesh of fierce beasts. He looked disgusting. Have you investigated his background? Zhu Qing coldly asked. Yes, God Zhu Qing. A black-robed man respectfully replied. The Luo Shen Union, including Luo Shen Union, crowned the 6 commanders with the title of God. They wanted to be comparable to God, and their status and strength were high above. The martial artist who killed the 3rd team is Lin Feng. the new seventh warlord of the Glory Union. The black-robed man reported. The Luotian Union had been opposing the Glory Union for a long time, so they naturally knew the Glory Union like the back of their hand. Moreover, Lin Feng's appointment as the seventh warlord was not kept a secret. New warlord? Zhu Qing frowned. The black-robed man nodded. 2 years ago, he won the ranking competition with the strength of the Nirvana stage. After that, he disappeared and just came out of seclusion. 2 years, from Nirvana stage to Heaven Glimpse stage. Zhu Qing's eyes flashed with killing intent. First, it's Li Poji, now it's Lin Feng. The Glory Alliance is so proud to have 2 Heaven's Prides in a row. No wonder they don't put our Luotian Alliance in their eyes. Humph. Zhu Qing's left arm throbbed in pain. When he thought of the White Tiger King, his expression turned cold and murderous. Inform the first team to head to the ruins immediately. We must kill Lin Feng. The first squad of Giant was made up of 4 elite Heaven Glimpse experts. It was the strongest squad under Giant. Yes, Giant Qin, the black-robed man, said. Lin Feng sped through the ruins. This was a large region of the divine spirit ruins. Countless powerful cultivators gathered here. There were people from the One Garden, 2 alliances, 3 temples for factions, and 8 sects. Some were in groups, and some were alone. Everyone had their pros and cons. As for Lin Feng, he preferred to be alone and come and go as he pleased. This is where the mechanical warriors appeared. Lin Feng followed the direction given by Captain Wildbull and quickly found a place with many giant pillars. These giant pillars were very strange. They stood in circles and seemed to be connected into a line. There was a mysterious energy protecting them. When Lin Feng entered, his heart was moved. It was as if he had entered another layer of space. His vision was completely blocked, as if he had entered a maze. This feeling was very similar to Giant Stone Array, Lin Feng said to himself. On Earth, the new European Union had a giant stone array. Even Mars had a giant stone array. This was the crystallization of technological civilization. It was used to convert the energy of the universe into technological energy. It was more used as a supply for the mechanical warriors. Every giant pillar is the home of a mechanical warrior. Lin Feng was very clear, or rather, it was a place to absorb and replenish energy. Unlike Earth, which had been severely damaged by natural disasters, the giant stone array on Nemo was very well preserved. It was still protected by a mysterious energy. Every time there is an anomaly, this place will open and mechanical warriors will appear. Lin Feng was curious. He wandered in the giant stone array. He was not afraid of getting lost because he knew how to leave. Although the giant stone array was full of illusions and giant pillars, as long as he had enough power, he could break the invisible barrier at the top and leave. Lin Feng tried to find the traces of the mechanical warriors. However, he did not find anything after more than 2 hours. Lin Feng broke the barrier and floated in the air. His eyes were shining. Looks like it really has something to do with the anomaly. Lin Feng thought to himself. Things could not be so coincidental. The moment there was an anomaly, the Bullhorn Squad discovered the mechanical warriors. There had to be a connection between the two. If the mechanical warriors could enter and exit the giant stone array freely, no matter how many there were, they would have gone extinct after hundreds of millions of years. After all, they could not reproduce. Wait, Lin Feng was not in a hurry. After all, he already had a water caltrip crystal fragment. Right now, he wanted to find out the secret of the god's ruins. His intuition told him that the rise of the Yu Emperor Divine Realm was not simple. The Miracle Garden must know the most. The 5 races of Tian Mo were all there. Today is the 26th day of the anomaly, Lin Feng murmured. Swish, swish. Lin Feng held the black knife of sin and practiced knife moves. He had carefully read the evil demonic way that originated from the Yin Mo clan several times. Every word and sentence was clearly imprinted in his mind. This saber skill manual was much more difficult than the 4 absolutes of the Thousand Saber Art. The first strike required a 4th-tier saber heart, the second strike required a 5th-tier saber heart, and the third strike required a 6th-tier saber heart. What he was practicing now was the first move. Lin Feng, whose knife heart had reached the 4th level of the refinement, was recognized by the Dark Demon Way. He met all the requirements. Merged the power of the bedevilment state with the origin of darkness. Yin Shidao, who created the evil demon triple strike, is really an unparalleled knife skill genius. Lin Feng sighed. The more he practiced, the harder he felt the evil demon triple strike was. There was always a deviation, and it was difficult to perfect the details and merge the 3 forces into one. The 4 skills of the Thousand Knife art were much simpler. He only needed to comprehend the knife intent. But the evil demon triple strike was compatible with the origin of darkness. There was a big gap between the two. Whether it was the comprehension or the level of power, there was a gap of a whole level. This evil demon way is indeed a top-level knife skill in the life-breaking stage. As Lin Feng's cultivation deepened, he could clearly feel its value. Even though it was very difficult to comprehend, just like the Devil's Blade art, it required the path of Dark Demon, which was the hardest path for humans to comprehend out of the 6 paths of darkness. However, the power of the blade art could not be underestimated. If I can fully comprehend the evil demon triple strike, I can dominate the Nirvana world. Lin Feng was full of fighting spirit. Over and over again, although he couldn't comprehend it, Lin Feng still practiced diligently. The sky was bright, and the anomaly appeared again. Chapter 1048. The clouds were colorful, and the rays of light appeared at the end of the earth. The white rainbow pierced through the sun, and the phenomenon appeared again. Lin Feng floated in the air and concentrated. This time, there were no fluctuations in his heart. He looked at the land of grace clearly. The light appeared and wrapped around a huge figure. It is indeed the skeleton armor. This time, Lin Feng saw the true body of the phenomenon. Although it was just an outline, it was much clearer than the blur he saw outside. In addition to the skeleton armor, there was a weapon in the giant's hand. It looked like a knife, a sword, an axe, and a halberd. It was hard to see clearly. Similarly, his face was also hard to see. This weapon should be another ancient treasure. Lin Feng stared intently at it. Other than the weapon and the armor, he did not find a third ancient treasure. The first and second ancient treasures exist in the 6 forbidden lands of the Nirvana world. Lin Feng thought, the third ancient treasure is in the Nirvana world. It became the cursed seal of the Nirvana planet, suppressing the devil race and protecting the human race. Since Shao Chen already obtained the skeletal armor, then the second ancient mysterious treasure would most likely be that weapon. It is very likely to be related to the phenomenon in the God ruins. This thought flashed across Lin Feng's mind. He looked down at the huge stone array from midair. As the strange phenomenon appeared, the huge stone array also lit up as if it was resonating. However, even after the strange phenomenon completely disappeared, there was still no metal monster. Soon, peace was restored. It was not only the phenomenon, but also the giant stone formation. It was as if nothing had happened. No, Lin Feng said to himself. After waiting for a while, there was still nothing. That's true. If there were mechanical warriors appearing here every day, we would have been surrounded by the crowd long ago, Lin Feng thought to himself. 26 days had passed, and the phenomenon had appeared a total of 26 times. Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. Could it be there are other giant stone formations in the ruins? The possibility was very high. The Nirvana planet that had not been destroyed naturally had more than one giant stone formation. Lin Feng had a vague idea and left. Explore again. Damn it, I missed it again. I heard that only those who are fated with great Emperor Minwu will be able to receive his edict and obtain the treasures. Sigh, looks like we're not fated to be together. As he sped along, he could occasionally hear the discussions of the martial artists. However, Lin Feng knew that part of it was true, and part of it was just personal speculation. If he wanted to find the answer, he had to rely on himself to explore and explore. The second was to rely on the Glory Alliance. Regarding the Emperor Divine Realm, the Glory Alliance, as a power that was second only to the Miracle Garden, surely knew a lot of inside information. 22 warlords, and 4 kings. The Glory Alliance should have around 20 experts. I haven't met one yet. Lin Feng was also helpless. The ruins were too big and there were natural dangers everywhere. Adding on the fact that it was his first time here, there were many places he had to explore. It had already been half a day since he left the giant stone array, but he still hadn't seen a single Glory Alliance warlord expert. On the contrary, he had seen quite a few Heaven Glimpse experts from the Miracle Garden. From this, it could be seen that the Miracle Garden had more experts than the Glory Alliance. Those in the 10,000 life stage couldn't be considered experts. They had just entered the transcendent stage. Those who could be considered experts in the Nirvana world were the Heaven Glimpse stage and the top life-breaking stage experts. Oh, Lin Feng's eyes lit up and he landed on the ground. He didn't see any warlords from the Glory Alliance. Instead, he found another giant stone array. It was similar in scale to the one he saw before. It flashed with light and contained a mysterious energy barrier. Just as he had guessed, there was more than one giant stone array in the ruins. Here, there was still not a single human expert. Lin Feng finished exploring the giant stone array. He jumped out and continued to explore the ruins. Unfamiliar the first time, familiar the second time. He slowly became familiar with the ruins, and his exploration efficiency increased. At least he wouldn't have to walk the same path twice. It saved him a lot of time. Soon, he found the third and fourth giant stone array. One after another. Lin Feng's efficiency was very good. In just one day, he found 7 giant stone arrays. They were almost the same, and there was nothing special about them. Phew! Lin Feng let out a long breath and looked at the sky. The 27th heavenly phenomenon should appear soon. Looking down at the giant stone array below, Lin Feng stopped searching for the time being. Instead, he patiently waited for the 27th heavenly phenomenon to arrive. He wanted to confirm his judgment again. However, although the heavenly phenomenon would appear every day, it wasn't fixed time. This time, it was more than 3 hours later than the 26th heavenly phenomenon. Swords and sabers are most likely. Lin Feng looked at the phenomenon carefully again. Although he still couldn't tell the true face of the ancient treasure from the outline, he could tell from the way the weapon was held. Large weapons such as axes and halberds were usually held with both hands and exploded with power. But what he saw was that it was held with one hand. The giant stone array is still only resonating. Lin Feng understood the general idea and left. There was always a harvest. Every time he searched, he listened to the discussions of the warriors and put together the tiny clues. Like a jigsaw puzzle, the outline gradually appeared. In the dark night, Lin Feng hid at the bottom of a deep cliff. His eyes were bright and full of spirit. From the area of the ruins that I explored and the number of giant stone arrays, I can guess. The number of giant stone arrays in the ruins should be between 20 to 30. Now that the 27th heavenly phenomenon has appeared, it is very likely that the spirit will appear in a giant stone array every time. However, the giant stone array that has appeared before is like a torch that doesn't need to be lit a second time. There is no doubt that the water caltric crystal fragment is related to the heavenly phenomenon in Yu Huang's divine realm. I still haven't found the 4 kings and the warlords of the Glory Alliance. They should be in the Great Ruins. That place is definitely more important than the ruins and has more information. Lin Feng had already made up his mind. There was no point in exploring the ruins anymore. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Although the Great Ruins was dangerous, it was definitely the key to the secret of the ruins of the gods. Moreover, there were so many experts in the Glory Alliance. He didn't need to be too afraid. However, before entering the Great Ruins, let's try to sense it with the skeletal armor first. The heavenly phenomenon, the rise of Yu Huang's divine realm, is related to the 3 ancient treasures. Lin Feng thought to himself. He had one now, the silent world suppressed and sealed one, and the remaining one should be the weapon seen in the phenomenon. If the skeletal armor couldn't sense the second ancient treasure, it meant that it hadn't been born yet and wasn't fused with by human experts. Then, the secret of the divine realm was very likely. That's it. Light flashed, and the tyrant dragon's clone appeared in this pitch-black night. Chapter 1049. Got it. The tyrant dragon clone instantly sensed something. The existence of the ancient rare treasures was like an invisible string connecting them. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he looked into the depths of the divine spirit ruins. His heart shivered. In just an instant, Lin Feng put the tyrant dragon clone into the myriad origin mustard stone. His figure flashed like a ghost, and he instantly left. The reaction between the ancient rare treasures was like an attack. It was relative. If he could sense the other party's existence, the other party could also sense his existence. It would be very dangerous to stay in the same place. Lin Feng wasn't afraid that the other party could recognize his aura. After all, the one with the skeleton armor was the tyrant dragon clone and not him. Whoosh! In the dark night, Lin Feng headed to the other areas of the ruins. There were thousands of martial artists in the ruins. Lin Feng wasn't worried about his identity being exposed. There were also martial artists from the Miracle Garden, Luotian Union, Starry Hall, and so on. After finding a boundless grassland, Lin Feng stopped. This is really unexpected. Lin Feng sighed. He originally thought that the ancestor had appeared and the 3 ancient rare treasures came from the divine spirit ruins. All kinds of signs pointed to the appearance of the ancient rare treasures. But now, it didn't seem to be the case. He had the skeleton armor and sensed that the other ancient rare treasure had an owner. Plus, the one that was cursed and sealed in the silent world to suppress the devil race. The 3 ancient rare treasures were now complete. My previous judgment seems to be a little off. Lin Feng thought. That's right. Although there was a heavenly phenomenon and the ancestor appeared, I couldn't tell if he was Great Emperor Minwu or not. Plus, the rise of the Yu Emperor Divine Realm doesn't seem to be related to Great Emperor Minwu. It might be another opportunity. He smiled. Lin Feng actually didn't care if it was an ancient rare treasure or some other opportunity, because the ancient rare treasures came from the divine spirit ruins. This place was where the technological civilization of a Nemo star used to be. Maybe the opportunity this time is better than the ancient rare treasure? Lin Feng smiled. He headed to the great ruins. Lin Feng knew that there was a tiger in the mountain, but he still chose to go to the tiger's mountain. Lin Feng's combat strength neared that of an ordinary life-breaking powerhouse. He had the physique of a peak life-breaking powerhouse. His bloodline had awakened a 3rd time, and he also had the 1-star moon shuttle art and the 10,000 origin mustard stone. Although Lin Feng's combat strength was ordinary amongst life-breaking powerhouses, whether it was in terms of defense or survival skills, he was top-notch. Chi! Chi! Lin Feng raised his saber and slashed down, killing 2 mid-grade ancient beasts. The closer they got to the great ruins, the more ancient beasts there were, and the stronger they were. Gradually, mid-grade ancient beasts appeared, and they were on par with human heaven glimpse experts. Even low-level, primordial ferocious beasts were relatively strong. It was no wonder that 10,000 years old experts would often fall in the ruined world. It is as Bison said, the ancient era's ferocious beasts here are somewhat mutated. Lin Feng looked at the 2 ancient beasts that were covered in blood. There wasn't even a drop of blood in their bodies. They were like mechanical monsters. Their scales were similar to metal, just like formed from various elemental energies. Lin Feng nodded silently. The combat strength of a technological civilization was firstly elemental energies, and secondly, the energy converted from the universe's origin. He possessed the titanium-grade physique, so he was very clear that these 2 ancient beasts were similar to elemental beasts, but they weren't completely elemental beasts. It should be a combination of both. No wonder there are so many ancient beasts in the God Ruins. They should have a special method to increase their strength. Lin Feng was curious and kept the 2 ancient beast corpses. It didn't matter if it was useful or not. It wouldn't be bad to bring it back to Earth for research. Oh, after taking a glance behind, Lin Feng didn't stop and continued to move forward. Not long after he left, 4 figures appeared. They were agile. With one look, one could tell that they were veterans in battle. They were all top-grade heaven glimpse experts. On their battle armor, There was a clear mark of the Luo Shen Union, which represented their identity. Zhu Qing's first team. The elite team under Zhu Qing had great teamwork. They had carried out countless missions and had never failed. He is Lin Feng. The information is not accurate. He is definitely not a new warlord. His combat strength is top-grade Heaven Glimpse, comparable to any of us. What should we do? With 4 against 1, we should be able to take him down. But we might be injured, or even one of us might die. Report to God Zhu Qing immediately. Yes, Captain. The 4 members of Zhu Qing's first team were very cautious. What they didn't know was that the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. The cicada they wanted to capture was actually the oriole wearing the cicada's wings. Lin Feng had been paying attention to the movements of the Luo Shen Union, especially the Zhu Qing's team. He knew that the other party would definitely come for revenge. However, it's not Zhu Qing. Lin Feng was relieved. No matter how many Heaven Glimpse experts there were, he didn't care. As long as Zhu Qing didn't appear, no one could suppress him. Since he was young, he was good at fighting alone. 3 martial artists, 1 Saint Force cultivator. Lin Feng had already circled around and hid behind the Zhu Qing's first team, waiting for an opportunity. Although he was confident in defeating the 4 of them, he wasn't confident in leaving all 4 of them alive. Especially the captain, who was the strongest. Wait for an opportunity. Lin Feng waited patiently. His first priority was to ensure victory and try not to get injured. As for escaping, it didn't matter. Anyway, he had already offended Zhu Qing and the Luo Shen Union. It didn't matter how much he offended them. Kill the Saint Force cultivator first, Lin Feng thought. Firstly, the Saint Force cultivator's defense was the weakest. Secondly, the threat of 3 close-range fighters and 1 long-range attacker was too great. The Zhu Qing's first team moved forward. Lin Feng silently followed behind. He clearly knew the distance to not be discovered by the other party. However, the formation of Zhu Qing's first team was very tight, forming an origin point plus a triangle. They were worthy of being an elite team. No matter if it was moving forward or backward, they were orderly and protected the only Saint Force cultivator. But nothing was certain. Plans could never keep up with changes, especially in the 6 great danger zones. The reason why they were called danger zones was because they were frighteningly unpredictable. Shake, shake, shake. The earth inexplicably began to shake violently. The mountains and the earth shook. The uneasy and violent roars of ancient beasts resounded in the forest. The rumbling sound of iron hooves came from the front. It was actually a giant bull herd that was emitting flames. The fiery red armor was like steel, and there were 3 horns on their heads. The ancient beast's bloodline was powerful and ruthless. Scatter. The Zhu Qing's first team didn't fight head-on. The 4 of them scattered like fireworks. Even if they were strong enough to annihilate this fire-armored giant bull herd, they wouldn't waste so much effort. They scattered in all directions. The captain in the lead held a giant hammer. Thunder rumbled as he attacked the fire-armored giant bull herd, causing the other 3 to hide their presence. The opportunity is here. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Chapter 1050. Inside the Great Ruins. A thought came out from the voice transmission stone, causing Zhu Qing to frown. Not good, God Zhu Qing. A panicked voice came from the other side of the voice transmission stone. It was filled with fear. Wu Li, Qi Yunfei, and the captain. They were all killed by Lin Feng. What? Zhu Qing suddenly stood up. His height of over 2 meters was like a giant pillar that supported the sky. His eyes were filled with bloodlight. Zhu Qing's first team was a group that he had nurtured for many years. They were his absolute strength. But now, 3 of them were dead. No. Almost instantly, a piercing voice came from the other side of the voice transmission stone again. It was a loud, piercing sound accompanied by a shrill, hissing sound. The voice transmission stone suddenly broke. Zhu Qing clenched his iron claw-like hands. His face was distorted as he roared in anger. Naturally, he knew what happened. At the last moment, Zhu Qing's first team was completely annihilated. Lin Feng. Zhu Qing gritted his teeth. He didn't expect Lin Feng's strength to be so strong. A new warlord was able to fight 1 against 4 and completely annihilate the strongest elite team under his command. Such strength, it was comparable to a life-breaking expert. Bastard. Zhu Qing's eyes were about to split. How difficult was it to nurture an elite team? 4 Heaven Glimpse experts had died, and in addition to the death of the 3rd team, 5 Heaven Glimpse experts had been killed in a short period of time. Not only was it a huge blow to him, it was also a huge blow to the entire Luotian Union. Lin Feng, I will tear you into pieces. Zhu Qing's killing intent burst out. World of Ruins. Swoosh. Lin Feng came to a stop as the light origins swirled around him. He ate a sacred fruit and recovered his injuries. His left arm and shoulder were slightly injured, but it was to finish off the opponent as quickly as possible. It was worth it to exchange light injuries for the destruction of Zhu Qing's first team. Previously, he didn't expect it to be so smooth. He just happened to encounter the charge of the fire-armored giant bulls. The moon shuttle art is very useful, Lin Feng said. In addition to escaping, the moon shuttle art was also very useful in the pursuit process. As long as he wanted to chase, he could scatter in 4 directions. Although it took a bit of effort to kill the last martial artist, the result was still gratifying. Catch them all in one net. Right now, Zhu Qing must hate me to the bones. Lin Feng put away the 4th storage ring. His harvest was not bad. One could imagine that the giant on the other side of the voice transmission stone was absolutely furious right now. The Luotian Alliance had a total of 6 life-breaking experts and 35 Heaven Glimpse experts. Each life-breaking expert had an average of 6 Heaven Glimpse experts, and he had killed 5 of them in a row. Zhu Qing was. Lin Feng opened the dimensional box. 10 seconds later, his body was sucked in as if he had entered a space-time rift. He instantly disappeared from the god ruins. Recover. Since he was alone, without any vigilance, the effect of the dimensional box came into play. Here, he could freely recuperate and recover his battle strength. He didn't need to worry about anything. Although it was only 10 square meters of space, it was complete. The origin of heaven and earth existed, so he could enter the origin sea to comprehend the origin Tao. 3 hours of recuperation is enough. Lin Feng quickly entered the state. Entering the great ruins, he would have to face the life-breaking experts. He must maintain his battle strength at the peak in order to advance and retreat. Lin Feng calmed his heart and recuperated. His powerful body also had a powerful recovery ability. After the 3rd bloodline awakening, Lin Feng's physique was better than the supreme heavenly demon, who was famous for their physical strength. His innate spirit automatically sensed the surroundings. Lin Feng was very curious about the existence of the alternate space. He wanted to know where he was and what was around him. Is this a space forcibly opened by force? Lin Feng muttered in his heart. This space wasn't big. Including himself, it was only 10 square meters. And the universe was negligible. This should be a space forcibly created by some kind of technological power. It was special and magical. Between the universe and the passage of dark matter, Lin Feng murmured. There was also sufficient origin energy of the universe here. It was like a slender snake path without an end. There were small rooms built in this snake path, or it could be said that it was separated by small spaces. There was more than one small room like this. There are many around me. Although Lin Feng's sensing range was limited, he could still sense several rooms. The doors were closed, so he couldn't sense what was inside. In other words, there was more than one alternate space box. 3 hours passed quickly. Lin Feng clenched his fists and felt the tyrannical power. He revealed a satisfied smile. The battle with the Giants' first team made him more confident. His current battle strength was indeed extraordinary. He was invincible among the Heaven Glimpse experts. Lin Feng didn't waste any time, and it wasn't the time to cultivate. He immediately left the alternate space and continued to advance towards the Great Ruins. On the 28th day of the anomaly, I've been in the God Ruins for 2 or 3 days. It's the first time there was such a big earthquake like yesterday. Lin Feng murmured. The demon race had a stronger ability to sense nature than humans. The fire-armored giant bulls ran out crazily during the earthquake, which proved one thing. They thought the outside was safe. Looking back, the great ruins, or even the center of the god ruins, the land of gods was in danger. Or rather, there was something that made them fearful and afraid. There must be a demon when things were abnormal. I should meet up with the experts of the Glory Alliance soon and meet King Fan Xing, Lin Feng murmured. He still didn't know enough about the anomaly and the secrets of the god ruins. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. Lin Feng kept getting closer to the great ruins. Like a blind man crossing a river, he could only feel his way forward. Fortunately, he was strong enough and wasn't afraid of encountering any danger. He moved in the right direction and got closer to the great ruins. The blood of challenge and excitement boiled in Lin Feng's heart. His eyes were bright. The anomaly appeared again. The anomaly on the 28th day was the same as before. It's much clearer than before. Lin Feng looked at the figure in the sky. It was majestic, domineering, and arrogant. However, he shouldn't be Great Emperor Minwu. Lin Feng made a judgment. Although he hadn't seen Great Emperor Minwu, he had received a lot of information when he obtained the skeleton armor. The most important point was Great Emperor Minwu was a human from Earth. To be precise, he was a second-generation human from Earth. Eighth brother is the second generation of human beings on Earth. According to Brother Xin Yuan, the second generation of human beings and the third generation of human beings are very similar in appearance. Even the descendants of the second generation of human beings on Nemo are no different from the third generation of human beings. But he is different. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the giant figure in the sky. Chapter 10:51. He was tall and strong like a giant god. Net the reason why he could tell that he wasn't Emperor Minwu was simple. He's not human. Lin Feng looked at the giant figure in the sky. Although he only saw a small part of it, he could tell that the giant figure was more like a demon than a human from its skin, bones, and body shape. He could even see the keratosis on its skin. If I'm not wrong, he should be the first generation of life on planet Nemo, or a descendant of the first generation of life. Lin Feng thought. According to Emperor Minwu, planet Nemo used to be a 6-star planet. Although it was not as good as Earth, a 6-star planet could give birth to a dark matter expert. Even its descendant would be a galactic-level expert. However, the seeds of life on Earth gave birth to humans, while planet Nemo gave birth to demons. The god ruins are the remains of the first generation of demons on planet Nemo. There must be many secrets. Back then, Great Emperor Minwu entered the god ruins and obtained a set of 3 ancient treasures. That was how he was able to defeat the demons of planet Nemo and help the human race find a safe place to live. Lin Feng stared at the vision in the sky that gradually dimmed as a thought appeared in his mind. Maybe the 3 ancient treasures came from Yu Huang's divine realm. Emperor Minwu had a fortuitous encounter in the god ruins. It's very likely that he entered Yu Huang's divine realm. Lin Feng went to the great ruins. After the 29th heavenly vision, Lin Feng finally stepped into the great ruins. It was as if he was walking in a desert. He entered the desert castle. Oh! The moment he entered, Lin Feng sensed more than 5 presences. They were all heaven glimpse cultivators. The great ruins was less than 1/10 of the ruins, but it was the real essence of the ruins. The ruins were filled with the smell of technology. The air was filled with a special energy. There were all kinds of strange ores around, which contained the essence of nature. What a wonderful elemental technology. Lin Feng was amazed. The levels of power were divided into Holy Qi and Holy Power, Talent Soul, and Earth Soul. Technology was also divided into 2 branches. One was the orthodox energy technology, which transformed all energy into a unified, powerful energy source, using energy as the foundation to unleash the power of technology. The other was the elemental technology. Wen Jing was an expert in energy technology, while Sun Shengren was an expert in elemental technology. Both of them had their own merits and were equally matched. Let's find a main force first. Lin Feng's idea was simple and straightforward. It was better to lean against the mountain and enjoy the shade. In any case, the Glory Alliance was one of the top 3 powers in the Nirvana world. If he followed the 4 kings, he wouldn't have to worry about the Luo Shen Union and Zhu Qing. Moreover, he would be able to understand the secrets of the godly spirit ruins more clearly. However, it was not that easy. He had killed a total of 5 Heaven Glimpse experts from the Luo Shen Union. The Luo Shen Union probably hated him to the bone. Any of the 6 life-breaking stage experts would probably attack him the moment they saw him. Let's try our luck, Lin Feng thought to himself. It didn't matter. It was also possible that Zhu Qing swallowed his teeth and didn't report it to the Luo Shen Union. Or perhaps the other life-breaking stage experts didn't recognize him. Whoosh! Lin Feng was like an arrow leaving the bow, speeding forward. With the moon shuttle incantation in hand, he didn't need to hesitate. If he couldn't beat them, he could just escape. In the great ruins, on a black and blue metal body like an hourglass, Zhu Qing stood high, overlooking the little ones. Ha! Cutting off the communication stone, Zhu Qing's blood-red eyes flashed. He clenched his bone-like claws, making cracking sounds. Newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers. You have some guts to come to the great ruins. If I, Zhu Qing, let you out alive, I will take your surname. The Luo Shen Union's information was unique. Lin Feng entered the great ruins from the ruins. Although he didn't encounter any Luo Shen Union martial artists, he did encounter many experts from the other 3 halls, for schools, and 8 sections. Among them, there were those who had a close relationship with the Luo Shen Union, and many of them were spies in the Luo Shen Union. Reporting to God Zhu Qing, the Luo Shen Union has issued a kill order. Kill Lin Feng at all costs. Very good. Since he dares to provoke my Luo Shen Union, let alone a mere glory union, we will even dare to go against the miracle garden. Lin Feng, I want him to die without a burial ground. Whoosh! A figure sped through the great ruins. Everything here made Lin Feng feel incomparably novel. After seeing the technology of Earth, he could feel how strong the technology of the great ruins was. Those abandoned buildings have been standing for hundreds of millions of years. The elemental energy was still operating, proving that the great ruins had a crystal-controlled core similar to the Bermuda Triangle. It could operate autonomously, absorb cosmic energy, and convert it into elemental energy. Star system-level technology. When I return, I must buy a sound transmission stone, Lin Feng said. With a sound transmission stone, he didn't need to search aimlessly. Although the great ruins wasn't big, it was filled with danger. Even Heaven Glimpse experts could fall here. I haven't found a single Glory Union warlord and 4 kings after so long. Is it because my luck is bad, or is there a reason? Lin Feng pondered in his heart. He was very curious. They wouldn't all be gathered together, right? Because the great ruins is very dangerous? Something wasn't right. He had already seen several Heaven Glimpse experts in the great ruins. Although he hadn't met the Luo Shen Union, he had met the Miracle Garden, the Stellar Hall, and the 8 large sections. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. There was another giant stone array in front of him. It was very similar to the giant stone array in the great ruins, but it was different. The energy is stronger. Lin Feng could clearly sense it. His eyes swept over this giant stone array. The stone pillars were made of different materials, and the differences were very clear. There were many martial artists wandering around the giant stone array, discussing in low voices. The Luo Shen Union isn't here. Lin Feng glanced over and then landed. Many people looked over and sized him up curiously. They whispered and discussed him. Lin Feng pretended to observe and approached the giant stone array step by step. He pricked up his ears to gather information. The Luo Shen Union is really powerful. They actually snatched the Great Yu Imperial Crystal from the Miracle Garden. Yes, the Luo Shen Union is indeed the Luo Shen Union. I have never seen him make a move before. Once he makes a move, he amazes everyone. His combat strength is far beyond the other 5 deities of the Luo Shen Union. He fought against 2 deities and was undefeated against the Glory Union's King Tianyao and yin huang saber. The rankings of the One Garden and Two Unions are going to change. The Luo Shun Union is now completely above the Glory Union. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. There was a lot of information. It was obvious that there was an intense battle here. The number one of the Luo Shun Union, the legendary Luo Shun, had made a move. He had snatched a Great Yu Imperial Crystal from the Glory Union's King Tian Yao and Yin Huang Saber. Luo Shun, Lin Feng thought in his heart. Suddenly, his back tensed up and he turned around. Chapter 1052. It was an enchanting beauty with purple-red eyeshadow. Beside her, there were two similar girls with oval faces and long legs. When they saw Lin Feng looking over, they blinked their eyes with a hint of teasing. Peerless Hall, one of the three halls with the same reputation as the Star Hall and Insect Hall. The Peerless Hall was filled with beautiful girls. They were enchanting and charming, hence the name. Misperception. Lin Feng could faintly feel that the gazes of the three Peerless Hall women, when they looked at him, were not ordinary. It was completely different from the way the surrounding martial artists looked at him. However, the three girls didn't avoid his gaze. They smiled coquettishly and didn't seem to be abnormal. After keeping an eye on it, Lin Feng didn't think further and continued to listen to all kinds of information. Is it him, big sister? From his figure, appearance, attire, and the symbol of the Glory Union, it is him. Immediately informed the Luo Shin Union. The enchanting woman's charming face froze. Yes, big sister. Are we going to delay him? Do you want to die? The enchanting woman coldly rebuked. Do you know why the Luo Shin Union issued a kill order for him? It is because he killed 5 Heaven Glimpse experts of the Luo Shin Union, including the 4 super elites of the Giants' first squad. Moreover, he didn't kill them one by one, but 1 against 4. Looking at Lin Feng's back, the enchanting woman secretly transmitted her voice. Her eyes were in high spirits, but there was a hint of regret. They always had a favorable impression of experts and would take the initiative to pursue them. This was also the foundation for the Peerless Hall to stand tall in the Nirvana world. Peerless elegance would often attract the favor of experts. It can't be. The 2 oval-faced beauties instantly turned pale and were overwhelmed with shock. Although they were Heaven Glimpse experts, they had just stepped in. The 2 of them together weren't even comparable to the super elites of the Giants' first squad. What a pity. The enchanting woman shook her head. If he wasn't the target of the Luo Shun Union, my Peerless Hall would do anything to recruit him. But now, offending the Luo Shun Union, only death awaits him. Lin Feng naturally couldn't hear the 3 women's conversation, but he could hear the other voices around him. The 29th heavenly phenomenon had just ended, and the location was this huge stone array. The Miracle Garden, the Luotian Alliance, and the Glory Alliance were fighting over it, and it was extremely lively. As expected, the Glory Alliance is working together. Lin Feng said to himself. No wonder he could not find any companions. King Tian Yao, King White Tiger, and King Fan Xing had brought a dozen warlords to rob the Great Yu Imperial Crystals. The stone formations were divided into different sizes, and so were Yu Emperor Crystals. The ones he got from the Bullhorn Squad were Little Yu Emperor Crystals, while the ones he got from this formation were Great Yu Emperor Crystals. Stonehenge is different, and so are the Mechanical Warriors. The Mechanical Warriors that appeared in the ruins were at the pinnacle of the 10,000 years stage. The Mechanical Warriors that appeared in the giant stone array were at the pinnacle of the Heaven Glimpse stage. Lin Feng instantly understood that the Yu Royal Crystal originated from the Mechanical Warriors. To be precise, it was very likely to be the Mechanical Warrior's power source. The stronger the Mechanical Warrior was, the bigger the Yu Royal Crystal would be. Just as he had guessed, the Stonehenge was the key point, and the one thing that he had missed before was the activation of the Stonehenge. It was not always in an active state and flowing with energy. Only the Stonehenge where the Mechanical Warriors appeared would be in an active state. For example, the Stonehenge in front of him was dark and lightless before. It was only until the 29th heavenly anomaly appeared that the Stonehenge resonated with the Stonehenge, and the mechanical warriors appeared that it maintained its energy state. In the beginning, no one might know the secret of the Stonehenge. However, as the heavenly anomaly appeared for 29 consecutive days, someone would eventually discover it. Once the first discovery was made, there would be a second and a third. One would spread the news to 10, and 10 would spread the news to 100. Everyone was in the god's ruins, so what secret was there to speak of? So, the Stonehenge that I saw in the ruins had already appeared with the mechanical warriors and dropped you royal crystals. Lin Feng understood completely. In other words, the Stonehenge in front of him was still dark, and it was very likely to be the next place where the you royal crystals would appear. However many Stonehenge there were, the heavenly anomaly would appear that many times. The only problem now was he didn't know much about the Stonehenge. He didn't know the number and location of the Stonehenge. However, those big forces should be clear about it, especially the Miracle Garden, Glory Alliance, and Luotian Alliance. The Glory Alliance should be gathering outside the Stonehenge in the dark swamp, waiting for the heavenly anomaly. Luotian Alliance too. With a direction and target, Lin Feng quickly cleared the fog. He indeed didn't know where the next Stonehenge was, but someone definitely knew, especially the Miracle Garden's martial artists. The Miracle Garden was the most powerful force in the Nirvana world. The Miracle Sacred Realm, led by the Tian Mo 5 clans, had countless Miracle Garden's martial artists. The number was several times more than the Glory Alliance and Luotian Alliance combined. It's them. Lin Feng locked on to his target. There were 2 Heaven Glimpse experts in the distance. Although they weren't from the Tian Mo 5 clans, they were members of the 12 King clans. They had connections with the Tian Mo 5 clans and kept each other in check. Seeing them using the sound transmission stone to hide their voices and then sneaking away cautiously, Yishuan knew a thing or two. Following behind the 2, Lin Feng maintained a certain distance. With his strength, it was impossible for the 2 Heaven Glimpse experts to discover him. When he left, he glanced at the 3 Peerless Hall girls. He could vaguely see a thing or two from their expressions, but they didn't chase after him. Lin Feng didn't care. Even if they sent a message, he couldn't do anything. If he could guard against one, there would be a second and a third. It was the same in the ruins area. The Luotian Alliance's intelligence network was too large. He couldn't kill them all. There should be more than one Stonehenge that hasn't been activated yet. Lin Feng understood in his heart. For example, the one he was at just now, there weren't many martial artists fighting for it. Only the Yin Mo clan came from the Tian Mo 5 clans, and the Luotian Alliance only had Luotian. There should be several Stonehenge that had been discovered and hadn't been activated yet. The experts were scattered to guard them. I wonder, are there any Stonehenge that hasn't been discovered yet? Lin Feng smiled. The possibility was close to zero. Whether it was the Ruins world or the Great Ruins, this should have been explored by the major forces. Yishuan followed closely. Along the way, he saw many martial artists heading in this direction. Lin Feng knew that this was the right path. I wonder which of the 4 kings it will be. Lin Feng thought in his heart. His aura suddenly turned cold. His gaze landed on the 3 Heaven Glimpse experts in the distance. They were also looking over. The instant their eyes met, Lin Feng saw the Luotian Alliance's symbol clearly imprinted on their battle armors. When the 3 Luotian Alliance saw him, their figures clearly paused for a moment. Their expressions changed. The instantaneous reaction was enough to explain everything. Sparks flew. Whoosh! Lin Feng pulled out the sinful black saber and didn't give the 3 Luotian Alliance people any chance to react. Moon Shuttle Art. Chapter 1053. The 3 experts from the Luotian Union clearly didn't expect Lin Feng to be so ruthless. One had to know that they still had the advantage of numbers. However, Lin Feng didn't care at all. The speed of the Moon Shuttle Art burst out to the extreme, displaying the profundity of a light-speed Tao to the fullest. He was still far away before, but in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of them. Without activating the divine patterns, Lin Feng's power realm crushed the Heaven Glimpse experts with his 4th layer Minute Saber Heart and his innate talent soul that was close to the life-breaking stage. True Dragon Tyrant Saber World. One saber was divided into 3 sabers. A distorted Chuan word in the void instantly extended, and the saber force caused the space to tremble. The Heaven Glimpse expert in the middle was severely injured. His defense couldn't withstand a single blow from Lin Feng. The martial artist on the left and right grunted and instantly retreated. The experts from the Luo Shin Union were naturally not ordinary. Beep! A loud sound pierced through the clouds. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. This was the Luo Shin Union's distress signal. His location and information would be exposed. However, there was no time to think. Lin Feng chased after the Heaven Glimpse expert in the middle and killed him. He used the moon shuttle art again and went straight for the injured martial artist on the right. Instead of retreating now, it was better to kill both of them before retreating. Thousand saber art, consecutive divinations. Lin Feng's saber blasted out. Divinations appeared densely like dots, trapping the martial artist on the right who sent out the distress signal. Under the suppression of the power realm, even though that martial artist used all his skills and had a super heaven-ranked sacred treasure for defense, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Soon, he was shattered by the endless saber lights. Lin Feng kept the treasure and didn't stop for a moment. He chased after the Luo Shin Union martial artist on the left with his fastest speed. After killing them, he could leave without any worries. One fled, one chased. Lin Feng kept getting closer. That martial artist used all his strength to escape, but the distance was still gradually shortening. No! The Luo Shin Union martial artist was hysterical. He felt the suffocating, murderous aura behind him. The scene of his 2 companions dying just now appeared in his mind. He recalled the tragic situation of the first team of giants being annihilated. His heart was beating rapidly. In the next instant, an intense pain attacked his heart, and his consciousness became blurry. The 8th. Lin Feng raised his saber and slashed down, killing the 8th Heaven Glimpse expert of the Luo Shin Union. There was no need to be merciful. They were enemies, not friends. Punk. The light's source bloomed brilliantly, and the surrounding cultivators who witnessed this fierce battle were all shocked. It was hard to believe that a young man could kill 3 Heaven Glimpse powerhouses of the Luo Shin Union in an instant. Very strong. However, he dared to provoke the Luo Shin Alliance. Did he not want his life anymore? A suffocating aura descended. This power that shook the heavens and earth came from a life-breaking expert. The violent roar caused the sound waves to tremble violently. Caught off guard, many martial artists revealed pained expressions. Kuan Yin ranked 6th in the Luo Shin Union. His attainments in the way of thunder were quite tyrannical. The thunder saber in his hands vibrated continuously. The second level of the way of thunder condensed the power of a 1-star profound meaning and supported by a super heaven-ranked sacred treasure to display its full power. Lin Feng pursed his lips tightly. At this moment, the divine inscriptions were about to appear. Light and darkness body. When he killed the 3rd Luo Shin Union cultivator, he had already sensed the arrival of a life-breaking expert. This place should be very close to the giant stone array. Therefore, the newcomer heard the unique distress signal of the Luo Shin Union and quickly rushed over. If the aura was too strong, Luo Shin, Zhu Qing, and Bai Lang would have already evacuated. However, the newcomer was only at the 2nd level of the life-breaking expert. Kuan Yin, who had stepped into the life-breaking stage for less than a year, was the weakest among the 6 life-breaking experts of the Luo Shin Union. Clang! Lin Feng's strength completely erupted. His eyes were filled with battle intent. For him, this would be a precious trial battle. The strength of the opponent was just right. It was neither strong nor weak. The sinful black saber felt its master's battle intent. It also vibrated and shone with black light. Brat from the Glory Union, prepare to die. The thunderous roar contained the way of thunder. Kuan Yin's 2 young thunder sabers suddenly appeared. Lightning shot out in all directions and blasted towards Lin Feng. He, who had a violent temperament, specialized in the Tao of Thunder. He was proficient in 3 Grand Tao of Thunder. With his impressive attack power and the support of the Way of Thunder, his strength was definitely not something a Heaven Glimpse expert could compare to. Thousand Saber Art, consecutive trigrams. Using softness to overcome strength. Facing Kuang Yin, who was known for her violence, Lin Feng was not dragged into the fight. He still maintained his original state. However, the friction between Kuang Yin's young Thunder Sabers and the Way of Thunder made Lin Feng feel that his strength was insufficient. Even his attacks were slightly slower. Young Thunder, 7 diseases. The two young Thunder Sabers were like forks and swords. Both ends were sharp and condensed the power of thunder. The young Thunder Sabers were like Kuang Yin at this moment. Their close combat strength was quite impressive. The young Thunder Sabers used the dagger technique to attack the weak points of the opponent. The most terrifying thing was that the two young Thunder Sabers would emit thunderous sounds once they got close. Bang! Lin Feng let out a muffled groan and retreated. His saber technique was indeed better than his opponent's, but he was much weaker than Kuang Yin in terms of using the Origin Dao. The only one-star Profound Dao he was proficient in was the Moon Shuttle Art. The rest relied on the Origin Dao to explode. However, Kuang Yin could perfectly use the Origin Dao and was even more compatible with his weapon. So this is the strength of an ordinary life-breaking expert. Lin Feng retreated as he fought, enjoying the benefits. He knew where his weakness was. Although his comprehension was not bad, he lacked enough time to comprehend the power of the Profound Dao. The other shortcomings of cultivating the Dao of Saber appeared. However, he also had his own advantages, and that was his physique. It was comparable to any life-breaker expert's body. Bang! 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 The more Kuang Yin fought, the more shocked he became. Each of his attacks was repelled by the opponent with great force. This guy has such strong defense and power. Kuang Yin had already put away his contempt. This brat who made a giant furious indeed had real strength. Despite his fierce attacks and the Origin Dao of Thunder, it seemed to be deflected with little effort. How could he not be injured? Kuang Yin was full of questions. His attacks were not strong enough. Although Lin Feng was in a passive position and his defenses were constantly being broken by the Thunder Origin, his powerful body had an astonishing recovery ability. Most importantly, Lin Feng had the True Dragon Saint Power. The True Dragon Saint Power, which was close to the life-breaking stage, supplemented by the power of Heaven's Skull Cultivator, formed Lin Feng's current solid defense. Damn it! Kuang Yin's expression was ferocious and his eyes were bloodshot. He was ready to go all out. The two young Leizao spun violently. The Thunder Heart on Kuang Yin's forehead flashed. A huge force formed between the two young Leizao. It was a ball of lightning that was like a rolling flame. It was like a nuclear bomb that was constantly gathering power. The Origin Dao of Thunder used the young Leizao as the source and rapidly increased. Buzz, 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 Kuang Yin's power instantly exploded. The second level of the Dao of Thunder unleashed earth-shaking power. The rumbling sound was enough to shatter everything. Bang! This time, Lin Feng could no longer resist and spat out blood as he retreated. Chapter 1054. Injury. Although Lin Feng had dodged the center of the lightning explosion, he was still injured. As he retreated, he instantly swallowed a holy fruit. The tyrannical bloodline gave Lin Feng a heaven-defying recovery ability. The stronger his body, the faster his recovery. The most important thing was that the destruction caused by the Thunder Source was restrained by the True Dragon Saint Power. Lin Feng only suffered some superficial wounds. Lack of experience. Lin Feng understood that he didn't have any experience fighting against a life-breaking powerhouse. This was his biggest weakness. If he had experience, he would have retreated the moment Kuang Yin used it, and his injuries would have been reduced by at least 70%. However, experience was often gained from suffering losses and failures. He seems to be proficient in the Dao of Thunder. Lin Feng had already made an accurate judgment as he retreated. During the battle between Kuang Yin and himself, other than the Thunder Origin, he had not used anything else. It was obvious that he had specialized in one path. This was very normal. Usually, such experts would have outstanding combat strength, but similarly, The weakness of a single-source path was very obvious. For example, the Tao of Earth could be said to be the pinnacle of defense, but its attack was barely satisfactory. The Tao of Thunder was the opposite. In terms of attack, there was the Tao of Thunder and Clouds, the Tao of Thunder and Explosion, the Tao of Thunder and Lightning, the Tao of Thunder and Magnetism, the Tao of Thunder and Lightning, the Tao of Thunder and Magnetism, and so on. But its defense was not good, giving him a taste of his own medicine. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. The battle near the giant stone array attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Some people started watching from the moment Lin Feng killed the 3 Heaven Glimpse powerhouses of the Luo Shin Union. There were also some who stopped after that. They rarely saw life-breaking powerhouses fight, so they feasted their eyes on them. But what shocked them was that this unfamiliar youth was actually able to block Kuang Yin's attack. It was inconceivable. He's still in the Heaven Glimpse stage, right? Yes, but his defense is so strong. Kuang Yin has always been known for his attacks, but he still hasn't broken through his defense. Who is this youth? I don't know, but the mark on the armor seems to be from the Glory Union. Is there such a person in the Glory Union? I don't know. From 3 to 7, there were already more than a dozen Heaven Glimpse experts. This level of battle was indeed rare. There were very few people fighting over the Yu Emperor's crystal because the Miracle Garden had already announced that no matter who obtained the Yu Emperor's crystal first, the other cultivators could not forcefully take it from them. If every piece of Yu Emperor crystal was used to fight each other, the human race would be weakened by half due to the internal strife, and how could they fight against the devil race? I received news that he is Lin Feng, the person that Luo Shun personally ordered to be wanted. Lin Feng? What a strange name. I've never heard of it before. Of course you haven't heard of him. He's a new warlord of the Glory Alliance. Originally, there was nothing special about him, just that he was a little young. But this time in the God Spirit Ruins, he consecutively killed 5 Heaven Glimpse experts of the Luo Shin Alliance. No, including the 3 just now, that's a total of 8 Heaven Glimpse experts, causing the Luo Shin Alliance to suffer great losses. Holy *T8. He's completely provoking the Luo Shun Alliance. So what if he's provoking? He has the strength. Did you see that? He can fight against life break experts. How many Heaven Glimpse experts can be found like this? You can count them with 2 hands. Not to mention, he has the Glory Alliance behind him. So what's there to be afraid of? I'm afraid that by the time the Glory Alliance's experts arrive, he would have already been killed by Kuang Yin. Look, at this time, the situation suddenly changed. Kuang Yin seemed to have found a way to use the Tao of Thunder to incite Lin Feng. The explosive power of the Tao of Thunder slowly weakened Lin Feng's defenses. Combined with his superb Tao of Daggers, he gradually forced Lin Feng into a desperate situation. Z. The Thunder Saber collided and spun, completely displaying the essence of the Tao of Thunder. Kuang Yin's lips curled into a cold smile. In his eyes, Lin Feng was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. No matter how strong his defenses were, he was nothing more than a punching bag. Dual Thunder Saber combined. Kuang Yin's eyes widened like bright lightning stars. In an instant, the 2 rapidly spinning Yong Thunder Lances clanged violently. Other than the Tao of Thunder, it also contained a portion of the Tao of Thunder explosion. The powerful might cause the surrounding Heaven Glimpse experts' hearts to sink as if they had fallen off a cliff. Lin Feng, who was at the front, naturally suffered the most. Kuang Yin's 2 ghostly daggers seemed to appear from the end of the universe, piercing through space and going straight for Lin Feng's life gate from the left and right. The attack was swift and decisive, and the combined Thunder Saber in the center exploded with extreme power. But the next moment, Lin Feng's figure actually turned into an illusion. While Kuang Yin was stunned, the center of the illusion condensed an astonishing amount of light energy. A light spot that looked like a crystal ball was continuously compressed in the bosom of a huge golden dragon. One could completely see the energy nurtured by the crystal ball of light. It was shocking. No, divine light ball. Kuang Yin's face distorted. He naturally recognized what this was because this heaven-tier saint treasure came from the god ruins. But it was useless to know. Kuang Yin, who was calculated by Lin Feng, completely forgot to defend. In fact, he didn't need to defend at all because his attack had no blind spots. If Lin Feng wanted to break his defense, he had to break his attack first. But now, Kuang Yin completely miscalculated. Boom! The combined Thunder Saber was like a nuclear bomb igniting a uranium bomb. The two collided, causing a shocking explosion. The Heaven-tier Saint Treasure Divine Light Ball was one of the two Heaven-tier Saint Treasures that Lin Feng had purchased in the Battle Achievements world. There were a total of 3, and each was worth 50,000 battle achievements. It was not cheap. Driven by the Tao of Light, the explosive power was terrifying and monstrous. It had an extremely strong effect on both offense and defense. Explosion against explosion. Lin Feng did not miss anything. The collision of the Tao of Thunder Explosion and the Tao of Light not only added the power, but also multiplied the power. Just the airflow of the explosion caused the surrounding Heaven Glimpse experts to be implicated. Many of the weaker ones were injured, including Lin Feng himself. Although he used the Moon Shuttle incantation to escape at the fastest speed, but the time was too short. He couldn't run too far. Bang! Lin Feng was completely blown away, his blood and qi churning. In terms of momentum and power, he was more seriously injured than before, but it didn't matter because Kuang Yin must be more seriously injured than him. Ha! Lin Feng reversed his blood and qi, forcibly stopping his retreat. The golden true dragon rose behind him, and the true dragon's saint power was extremely strong at this moment. He could attack and defend. Lin Feng pierced through the chaotic airflow like a sharp arrow. A twisted and ferocious face appeared in front of him. It was Kuang Yin. Every dog has its day. Now was his best opportunity to attack. Thousand Knife Stream, Absolute Knife. Lin Feng endured his injuries and turned all of his power into that knife, which fell down with a loud bang. Qi. Chapter 1055. The Thunderblade that had been accumulating power for a long time heavily injured Kuang Yin. The latter let out a mournful cry. Lightning burst out, erupting with her last defensive power, but she was still sent flying by Lin Feng like a kite with a broken string. Lin Feng also didn't feel good. The blood and qi that he forcibly suppressed surged up rapidly. Kuang Yin's lightning backfired on him. The reaction force couldn't be underestimated. The two figures instantly separated, but Lin Feng was clearly much better. The Heaven Glimpse powerhouses who were affected by the explosion had already stabilized their figures. They were shocked to see that Kuang Yin was heavily injured by Lin Feng. Their hearts skipped a beat. Although Kuang Yin was only a newly advanced Lifebreaker powerhouse, as a member of the Luo Shun Union, her combat strength was not ordinary. Lin Feng was only at the Heaven Glimpse stage. No way. Is one of the 6 gods of the Luo Shun Union going to fall? Kuang Yin is finished. I heard that Lin Feng has always been ruthless. Since he has already offended the Luo Shun Union, he shouldn't let Kuang Yin go. Everyone's heart trembled. Their breathing was a bit hurried. The fall of a Lifebreaker powerhouse was a major event in the Nirvana world. One less such powerhouse was one less. But in everyone's nervous anticipation, Lin Feng didn't kill. Instead, he turned and left, turning into a stream of light and disappearing. Silence reigned. Everyone didn't expect this. They didn't know what Lin Feng was doing, but soon they understood. Bang! Heaven and earth trembled as a terrifying aura enveloped the area. A huge figure that was over 2 meters tall appeared. His iron claw-like hands were his weapons. His bloodshot and cold eyes looked down. Not a single Heaven Glimpse martial artist dared to breathe. Giant, the second seat of the Luo Shun Union, the top human powerhouse of the Nirvana world. Whoosh! Lin Feng was like an arrow piercing through the clouds, quickly leaving. The dimensional box had already been opened, and the 10-second countdown continued to decrease. Until the last second, the space-time trembled continuously. Lin Feng's figure stopped for a moment, turned into a shadow, and instantly left the great ruins. He entered the alternate space. Almost. Lin Feng let out a long breath. Indeed, he could suppress his injuries and kill Kuang Yin. But what about after that? Just now, he had sensed that the life-breaker powerhouse approaching him was tyrannically strong and filled with killing intent. Now that he was injured, he might not be able to escape. Without a doubt, only the Luotian alliance was filled with killing intent and was very strong. Lin Feng didn't want to gamble because there was no need to. Kuang Yin. Lin Feng took out the holy fruit and swallowed it. From the beginning to the end, he had never cared about Kuang Yin. If he could kill him now, he could kill him in the future. There was no need to gamble his life for the sake of killing him. I wonder if it was a giant or goddess Luo. Lin Feng began to recover. How? He roared furiously. Zhu Qing's face was ashen as he searched for several hours. He swept through the entire area and dug 3 feet into the ground, but he still couldn't find any trace of Lin Feng. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. He was still a step too late. If he had been a bit earlier, luck. If you have the guts, keep hiding. Don't let me find you. Zhu Qing gritted his teeth in anger, but there was nothing he could do. A total of 8 Heaven Glimpse experts were killed, and even Kuang Yin was severely injured. This was no longer a provocation to the Luotian alliance, but a declaration of war. It had a huge impact on the reputation and cohesion of the Luotian alliance. Very good. Let's wait and see. Zhu Qing's eyes were filled with killing intent. In a different space. Opening his eyes, Lin Feng recovered his body to its normal state after a period of recovery. Lin Ming smiled. His battle with Kuang Yin had benefited him greatly. Although his combat strength hadn't made any significant breakthroughs, he had gained a lot of experience fighting against a life-breaker powerhouse. He now clearly understood his own strengths and weaknesses. This was very important. If he fought with Zhu Qing, Goddess Luo, and the other top life-breaker experts, he might be killed before he could obtain anything. About the same, Lin Feng said softly. His strength should be about the same as Kuang Yin's. Each had their own merits. The reason why he could win this time was due to Kuang Yin's carelessness. Next time, he would be more careful. But next time, his strength would be more than this. The 10,000 origin mustard stone is indeed a treasure. Lin Feng was very satisfied. Not only could it nurture spirits, but it could also block any aura. In the battle just now, Kuang Yin's thunder, Dao, affected the soul. If he wasn't prepared, he might be at a disadvantage. But with the protection of the 10,000 origin mustard stone, the power of the thunder Dao was greatly reduced. To reach the next level, I have to comprehend other offensive profound intents, or learn the evil demon's 3 heavy strikes. Lin Feng was clear. Right now, his defense was sufficient. What he lacked was offensive power. The heart of origin was like a treasured saber. What he lacked now was the power to unleash the power of the treasured saber to the extreme. There was always a difference between the perfect profound intent and the origin profound intent. The thousand-knife art was the comprehension of the saber itself. Among the 6 paths of light, the path of light is more of a support. The path of light and the path of brilliant light are the best offensive ones. Of the 2, my aptitude is better in the path of light, second only to the path of light and the path of divine. To unleash the origin profound intent, he had to first comprehend the second level of the origin Dao. That required a lot of time. But right now, he didn't have that much time. After comprehending the second level of the path of light, I still have to comprehend the origin profound intent of the path of light. The growth of my strength is too slow. Lin Feng immediately rejected it. He already had a direction in mind. It's better to focus on cultivating the evil demon's 3 heavy strikes. Firstly, my saber technique realm matches. Secondly, it matches the black saber of evil. Thirdly, the evil demon's 3 heavy strikes contains the origin profound intent of darkness. If I can fully comprehend the origin profound intent of the saber move, I might be able to break through to the second level of the path of dark demon. He didn't necessarily need to cultivate the path of light. He could also cultivate the path of darkness. As long as he could unleash its power and increase his combat strength, it wouldn't be a problem. Right now, he needed strength. Hiding in the alternate dimension, Lin Feng wasn't worried about danger. This was a masterpiece of cosmic system-level technology. Unless he had cosmic system-level power, it was absolutely safe to hide inside. After a round of saber practice, Lin Feng stopped. His chi spread out casually. Lin Feng was startled, and a puzzled expression appeared on his face. Why is it different from the first time? Lin Feng frowned. Although the alternate dimension was still the same, everything around it seemed to have changed. The rooms that were close to each other became very far away. The number of rooms around them also changed. It was extremely strange. Everything in the alternate dimension isn't fixed? Lin Feng didn't understand. Thinking hard, Lin Feng analyzed what he sensed last time. The location of each room was different. Clearly, it wasn't a problem with the surrounding rooms, but it's my own problem. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Chapter 1056. Every 3 hours, Lin Feng sensed again. The result was still the same. The location of the rooms in the alternate dimension did not change, but the range of his senses was not large, so the accuracy was still reduced. But no matter what, this could already confirm many things and infer some possibilities. Especially, one of the rooms is very close to me. Lin Feng thought. It's not far away, maybe I can try to take a look and be more sure of some possibilities. Any idea is only useful when put into action. Lin Feng did not delay for too long. He quickly left the alternate dimension and rushed in the direction of his senses. His aura was constantly spreading, and he had a talent soul that was close to the life-breaking stage. Even if his opponent's talent soul reached the life-breaking stage, he could still sense it. Because his talent soul was born from the 10,000 origin mustard stone, the level of his soul was higher. In this regard, he was not inferior to any human powerhouse. I'm almost there. Lin Feng opened the alternate dimension box and entered 10 seconds later. In the alternate dimension, he could distinguish the direction, but the distance was difficult to determine. Lin Feng once again probed with his senses, his mind completely immersed in it. The location has indeed changed, but the distance between each room has not changed. In other words, the one who changed is me. Lin Feng was now 90% sure. The alternate dimension could be regarded as a cosmic world. It was a part of the universe itself. Every room was a planet or a star. Every time he traveled in a spaceship, the position would be different, but the planets and stars themselves would be fixed and unchanging. However, what exactly are these rooms? Are they the same alternate dimension box as me, or? Lin Feng faintly came up with an idea. In an instant, he left the alternate dimension and set off again. This time, not only was the direction confirmed, he even had a rough estimate of the distance. The alternate dimension was like a map much smaller than the ruins. Although the size was different, the proportion was the same. Isn't this Lin Feng? Yes, that Lin Feng who defeated Kuang Yin, the young man who Luotian issued the kill order. He still dares to appear, how bold. Lin Feng's appearance caused an uproar. The closer he got to his destination, the clearer the answer became. Lin Feng was basically certain now, but he wanted to confirm it again. Furthermore, he had to go to this destination, because not only could he find the answer there, he could also find the person he was looking for. Roar! A furious roar resounded through the sky, causing the entire sky to shake. Accompanied by an arrogant and angry laugh, a huge figure appeared in the sky. Its bone-like arms turned into claws, and it swooped down from the sky like a huge vulture. The second seat of the Luotian Union, Zhu Qing. Coward die. The enraged giant was unstoppable. Even though he was only one person, he was more than enough to defeat an army. His aura was so strong that it covered the entire area like an invisible barrier. When a top-level life-breaking expert of the Nirvana world made a move, it was like a thunderbolt. Lin Feng held the black blade of sin in his hand, but there was no fear in his eyes. The heart of light flickered. At this moment, another wave of power appeared, shattering that formless barrier like glass. Roar. This was the roar of a real beast. From afar, a white tiger with wings on its back and a single horn on its forehead came over. It was very intimidating. Standing on top of the white tiger was a man with a battle blade in his hand. His domineering aura made people shudder. There was a half-moon scar between his eyebrows. It looked like a scar, but also like a birthmark. He wore a battle armor and looked down on everyone with disdain. White Tiger King, one of the 4 kings of the Glory Union. Legend has it that his strength was comparable to the strongest king of heavenly glory. His arrival made Zhu Qing furious. He roared, "White Tiger, what are you doing here?" Funny. White Tiger King's eyes were cold. "You want to kill my Glory Union's people?" Zhu Qing angrily said, "He killed my Luotian Union's people first. In my opinion, your Luotian Union is bullying others." Lin Feng had no choice but to fight back. "Your Luotian Union is best at doing this kind of thing." White Tiger King raised his head and coldly said, "Huff, huff." Zhu Qing gasped for breath. His eyes were wide open. "You mother ****** are talking nonsense." White Tiger King coldly smiled. "Winner takes all. Who can you blame for being inferior? If you have the ability, then kill me first. I guarantee that no one will stop you from killing Lin Feng." "You think I don't dare?" Zhu Qing gritted his teeth. "You've forgotten the pain after the scar is healed. Who was it that was injured by me a few days ago, and you're still shouting? I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. You're not any better," White Tiger King coldly said. The two of them confronted each other in a war of words. Lin Feng became a spectator on the side. He looked at the 2 top life-breaking experts in the Nirvana world arguing, but they didn't really fight. Lin Feng also had a rough idea. The last time they fought, it should have ended in a draw with both sides injured. They knew each other well. If they fought again, the result would be the same. No one could do anything to the other, but they would both be injured, harming others without benefiting oneself. Fortunately, it's White Tiger King. Lin Feng secretly thought that he was lucky. If it was his boss, Fan Xingqing, he would probably have to run away now. Among the 4 kings of the Glory Union, the strongest was without a doubt Heavenly Glory King. He was also the most experienced, followed by White Tiger King, Shanzhong King, and finally Fan Xingqing. There were 3 kings who entered the God Spirit ruins this time. They were Heavenly Glory King, White Tiger King, and Fan Xingqing. Shanzhong King was stationed in the Glory Union. The confrontation lasted for a long time. Both sides were in a deadlock. Zhu Qing wanted to kill Lin Feng, but he knew that he couldn't win against White Tiger King. Moreover, Lin Feng had the strength to defeat Kuang Yin. Once he and White Tiger King fought fiercely, this brat would make a sneak attack. He was afraid that he would fail miserably. Damn it! Zhu Qing's angry eyes were spitting fire. He couldn't wait to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces and kill him. However, with White Tiger King's protection, he couldn't do anything. Even if he informed Luotian Union, White Tiger King could also inform Heavenly Glory King. When the Luotian Union and Glory Union fought, not only would Miracle Garden laugh, but the 3 palaces under the 2 unions would also be secretly happy. They might even have a chance to take over the union. "I won't let this go," Zhu Qing roared. He suppressed the anger in his heart and left. Lin Feng smiled brightly. He naturally didn't care about Zhu Qing's threat. If he wanted to kill him, he would kill him. He wasn't afraid. His gaze fell on White Tiger King in the sky. Their eyes met, and White Tiger King's figure flashed, instantly appearing in front of Lin Feng. "Greetings, White Tiger King," Lin Feng respectfully said. "We are brothers. No need to be so polite." White Tiger King's cold expression changed and revealed a smile. It was as if an iceberg had melted. "Follow me." "All right." Lin Feng nodded. Walking forward, it didn't take long for them to arrive at a crowded place. Shua. Chapter 1057. Giant Stone Array. Lin Feng looked at the giant stone array in front of him, his heart surging. Although he had guessed it before, it was still quite shocking when it was confirmed. The giant stone array in the Great Ruins was much bigger than the one in the Ruins world. He had seen it before. Different from before, the giant stone array in front of him was not bright, but dim. It was still not activated by the heavenly phenomenon. "Come, Lin Feng, Let me introduce you to the Brothers of the Glory Alliance. White Tiger King patted Lin Feng's shoulder, smiling with appreciation. Okay. Lin Feng nodded with a smile. Following the White Tiger King, Lin Feng got to know the Glory Alliance warlords who were waiting outside the giant stone formation. He didn't see Li Lang, young Master Jianyu, and the other old acquaintances. As for the military commanders, Lin Feng didn't see any of them. He also understood that in the Great Ruins, the strength of military commanders was simply not enough. Little White Tiger King's proudest disciple, rank 9 Heaven Glimpse. Sword Beauty, cherry blossom-like appearance, smiling, but her whole body exuded a deep sword intent, rank 8 Heaven Glimpse. Banbo, with stripes on his face, the muscles on his arms bulging, and his feet thicker than his thighs. His fist technique could be said to be extreme, rank 6 Heaven Glimpse. These are the 3 strongest warlords under White Tiger King, and he only brought 3. Although White Tiger King had 6 warlords under him, the other 3 were still not strong enough and couldn't help much at the moment. Fighting for the Yu Emperor, Crystal relied on elite powerhouses, not numbers. In terms of numbers, Miracle Garden was definitely the most. Lin Feng glanced over and saw that there were dozens of miracle warriors. It was even more than the Glory Association and Luotian Association combined. Brother Lin killed 8 Heaven Glimpse powerhouses of Luo-Shan Alliance and defeated Kuang Yin. It's really satisfying. Little White Tiger grinned, very amiable. Kill a few more, and the number of Heaven Glimpse powerhouses of Luo-Shan Alliance will be the same as us. The Sword Beauty smiled charmingly. Everyone also smiled in response. Originally, the Luo-Shan Union had 35 Heaven Glimpse experts, which was almost double the number of Glory Union. But now, they were only left with 7. Good kill. Banbo clenched his fist like a fierce beast. Lin Feng snorted. Lin Feng, you might not know this, but one of our warlords was killed by the Luotian Alliance. Our brothers all wanted to avenge him, so we had several conflicts with the giants. Unfortunately, we were unable to do so. The White Tiger Monarch said, Luckily, you were there to help the Glory Alliance regain some face. Brother Lin is indeed powerful. I haven't been able to gain the slightest advantage against Kuang Yin several times. I didn't expect you to be able to heavily injure him. Little White Tiger gave him a thumbs up. Now, the fighting force of Luotian Alliance is slightly weaker than us. Our chances of getting this Great Yu Imperial Crystal have increased greatly. Maybe Zhu Qing will send people from the other stone formations. The Sword Beauty said. The little White Tiger laughed heartily, saying, Then the strength of the Luotian Alliance at the other stone formations will be reduced. Moreover, with Brother Lin joining us, we will be like a tiger that has grown wings. Unless Zhu Qing sends Yin Li Zi or Sandu Lang Jun over, we won't be able to compete. Yin Li Zi ranked 4th in the Luotian Union. Sandu Lang Jun ranked 6th in the Luotian Union. Both of them were life-breaking experts and had decent strength. Lin Feng now had a good understanding of the experts of Luotian Alliance. Against the 6 gods of Luotian Alliance, the only one he was confident in defeating was Sandu Lang Jun, who was the weakest. Against Yin Li Zi, his chances of winning were still not high. In a battle between experts, the key was still strength. Soon, Lin Feng became familiar with the 4 of them. After all, his battle record was brilliant, and his strength was obvious to all. Even White Tiger King thought highly of Lin Feng. Naturally, he didn't need Little White Tiger and the other 2 warlords. They all knew that with Lin Feng's aptitude, as long as he didn't fall, he would definitely become the king of Glory Alliance. He would be as famous as White Tiger King and Fan Xing King. Now, there are 29 Yu Imperial Crystals. Lin Feng said. Among them, there are 27 little Yu Imperial Crystals and 2 great Yu Imperial Crystals. White Tiger King said. How many crystals are there in total? Lin Feng asked. I don't know, but there should be 27 little Yu Imperial Crystals. Currently, there are at least 5 great Yu Imperial Crystals. White Tiger King said. Are you still not sure? Lin Feng asked. White Tiger King replied. The ruins of the gods are mysterious. There are huge stone formations everywhere. We can't be sure of the exact number. Even for the small stone formations in the ruins, we only found 5. As for the large stone formations, we only found 5 so far. Lin Feng nodded. No wonder White Tiger King said there were at least 5 Great Yu Imperial crystals. Some of the stone formations might be hidden very well and hadn't been discovered. With the Glory Alliance's searching ability, they couldn't find 2 of the 7 small stone formations. However, it is said that there are 6 large stone formations. White Tiger King said. Oh, Lin Feng was surprised. We're not the only one looking for it. Luotian Alliance and Miracle Garden are also looking for it. However, they shouldn't have found it. White Tiger King said, Miracle Garden has records about the ruins of the gods. There should be 6 large stone formations in the Great Ruins. Lin Feng nodded. Miracle Garden had existed for hundreds of millions of years and had a long history. So now, King Tianyao and King Fan Xing are each guarding a different stone formation, waiting to fight for the Great Yu Imperial crystals. Lin Feng said, yes, after the fight for the next Great Yu Imperial crystal, there will be 2 consecutive fierce battles for the 4th and 5th crystals. White Tiger King said, as the number of large stone formations decreased, all the martial artists would gather. When the time came, the fight for the crystals would be extremely fierce. How many Yu Imperial crystals do we have now? Lin Feng asked. 2. White Tiger King said, and they are both little Yu Imperial crystals. So few? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He thought the Glory Alliance would be able to get at least 5 or 6 crystals. We came a little late. Starry Hall came the earliest and took 3 Yu Imperial crystals. White Tiger King said, Miracle Garden was the second to find it. They have the most martial artists. So far, they have taken 11 Yu Imperial crystals. One of them is a Great Yu Imperial crystal. Luotian Alliance has 1 more than us. They also have 1 Great Yu Imperial crystal. The others, including Peerless Hall, Insect Hall, Windsword Faction, and Light Sect, have 1 each. There are also some little Yu Imperial crystals that are missing. Lin Feng nodded. Glory Alliance was strong, but not as strong as Miracle Garden. 1 garden, 2 alliances, 3 palaces for factions, and 8 sects are all here. Apart from strength, it also depended on luck to get the Yu Imperial crystals. Plus, the secret of the stone formations was only discovered later. So, Glory Alliance didn't have much of an advantage before. As for the missing little Yu Imperial crystals, such as the one taken by the Bullhorn Squad, they wouldn't spread it around. After all, it was a crime to have a jade ring. He had one now, but there was no need to publicize it. Actually, what is the use of Yu Imperial crystals? What's the difference between Great Yu Imperial crystals and Little Yu Imperial crystals? Lin Feng asked curiously. Of course, White Tiger King said seriously. Yu Imperial crystals are the key to Yu Imperial Divine Realm. Chapter 1058. Strange phenomena appeared in the sky, and the Yu Emperor Immortal Realm rose. This was the reason why the Divine Spirit ruins had shaken the entire Nirvana world and attracted the attention of many human experts. Lin Feng had also checked the information about the Yu Emperor Divine Realm and paid attention to the discussions of many martial artists. However, the Yu Emperor Divine Realm was rarely mentioned. They only knew its name and didn't know its secrets. I wonder what's so special about the Yu Emperor Divine Realm that attracted so many martial artists. Lin Feng asked curiously. The reason why he wanted to find the 4 kings of the Glory Alliance was that he knew too little. As the number 2 of the Glory Alliance, the White Tiger King must know something about the Yu Emperor Divine Realm. The Yu Emperor Divine Realm has existed for countless years. The White Tiger King's eyes were bright. However, the Miracle Garden is secretive and we don't know much about it. Since our ancestor, the Yu Emperor Divine Realm has never appeared. Our understanding of it is limited to legends. The White Tiger King said, Legend has it that our ancestor obtained the Yu Emperor's item and killed demons. He created the Miracle Garden and established the foundation of the human race. No one has ever seen the Yu Emperor's item. Whether the records of our ancestor are true is still a question mark. Until this time, The Yu Emperor Divine Realm has risen again. Lin Feng nodded. It was a legend that had existed for hundreds of millions of years. No one would care about it. According to the White Tiger King, the Minwu Great Emperor only had a few words about the Yu Emperor Divine Realm. Of course, only the Miracle Garden would know if there was any other information. Has the Yu Emperor Divine Realm appeared yet? Lin Feng asked again. I don't know. The White Tiger King shook his head and looked into the distance. The Yu Emperor Divine Realm is in the deepest part of the Divine Spirit Ruins, the land of divine spirits. Only the true experts can enter with the Yu Emperor's crystal. Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes widened. The deepest part of the God Spirit Ruins was a place of no return. It was a place where even life-breaking experts could perish. Others might not know, but he knew very well that it was left behind by the previous generation of the Nirvana planet. It was very likely that there was a Nebula Realm expert there. So, the Yu Emperor Divine Realm will only appear after all the Yu Emperor's crystals appear, Lin Feng said. That's right, the White Tiger King said. Lin Feng nodded. Gazing into the distance, his blood boiled. Looks like Brother Lin is also a kindred spirit. It's a pity that we came too late, so we only got 2 little Yu Imperial crystals, one for King Tian Yao and the other for Master. Even King Fan Xing didn't get a share, unless we can snatch a Great Yu Imperial crystal next. I also want to go in and take a look. This is the legendary place where my ancestor attained the Tao. The little white tiger's eyes were filled with longing. Yeah, Lin Feng replied. He didn't mention the Yu royal crystal he had, as there was no need for that. Otherwise, should he give it to King Fan Xing? Whatever is in life, it will always be there. The White Tiger King said, even if you obtain the Yu Emperor crystal and enter the Yu Emperor godly realm, it doesn't mean that you will have such an opportunity. Back then, my ancestor was the only one who obtained the Yu Emperor's power and treasures and achieved great things. The Sword Beauty smiled charmingly and said, with Brother Lin joining us, perhaps we can get the Great Yu Imperial crystal this time. Bambo said, there are 3 giant stone arrays. They might not be on our side. While they were talking, suddenly, extreme white light descended from the sky, and auspicious clouds appeared. Gradually, a mighty and domineering figure emerged, looking down on everything. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the giant devil. At this moment, he could see part of his face clearly. Just as he had guessed, he was a devil. No matter in which aspect, there was a clear gap between humans and devils. He is the Yu Emperor, Lin Feng said in his heart. The Yu Emperor godly realm should be opened by him, and the 3 ancient treasures of Great Emperor Minwu also came from the Yu Emperor godly realm. Lin Feng looked at the source of the strange phenomenon and nodded secretly. It was most likely the place where the Yu Emperor godly realm rose. At the center of the god ruins, in the land of god spirits. Pairs of eyes were looking at the void. The people outside the giant stone array were very calm. As the strange phenomenon gradually disappeared, they were all disappointed because the giant stone array here was not lit up. You jinx! The little white tiger rolled its eyes at Bambo. Every time, your words come true. The Sword Beauty shrugged her delicate shoulders, looking rather helpless. The White Tiger King didn't say a word and stood upright. He was waiting. He was waiting for news from the other giant stone arrays. One was where King Heavenly Glory was, and the other was where King Fan Xing was. Not only him, but Luotian Alliance's Tian Qing, Miracle Garden's Feiji race, and Hunling race were also waiting for the results. Although he couldn't see it, Lin Feng knew that there must be fierce battles going on. In order to get it, besides strength, luck was also needed. Time passed slowly. Soon, Lin Feng looked at the Feiji race in the distance. He was using the voice transmission stone. Almost at the same time, the Luotian Alliance and Starry Hall reacted. The White Tiger King also connected to the voice transmission stone. Lin Feng looked at the White Tiger King's expression and saw his frown disappear. He immediately understood. It was not the Glory Alliances. The voice transmission stone was cut off. The White Tiger King looked at Lin Feng and the other 3. It's the giant stone array where Fan Xing is. King Fan Xing was the weakest among the 4 kings, so he had the lowest chance of winning. However, Even someone as strong as King Heavenly Glory had the upper hand in the previous battle. With so many experts fighting for it, the Glory Alliance didn't have much of an advantage. Who got it? The White Tiger King asked anxiously. Is it the Luotian Alliance? The White Tiger King shook his head. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. They couldn't get it, and they didn't want the Luotian Alliance to get it. It must be the Miracle Garden again. The Sword Beauty mumbled. Out of the 9 royal crystals, 11 of them were in the hands of the Miracle Garden. The White Tiger King shook his head again. Everyone was shocked. Miracle Garden, Luotian Alliance, and Glory Alliance, who were competing for the Great Imperial Crystal, had all failed at the same time. It was really shocking. It's the Peerless Palace. The White Tiger King answered. The Peerless Palace. One of the 3 palaces, the Peerless Palace, which was made up of women, actually managed to get the Great Royal Crystal from the 2 alliances? Lin Feng and the others were stunned. At this moment, the experts from the Feiji race, Luotian Alliance, and Starry Hall were all stunned. The Peerless Empress? The Sword Beauty's eyes lit up. The one who got the Royal Crystal is Princess Luo, the White Tiger King said. The Peerless Empress has 3 daughters. The strongest is Princess Qi, and the smartest is Princess Li. However, I didn't expect that Princess Luo, who has been living in seclusion and has never appeared in the eyes of experts, is not inferior to her 2 sisters. She is also a life-breaker expert. Hiss, everyone sucked in a deep breath. So, the Peerless Palace has 4 life-breaker experts. The White Tiger King was shocked. Lin Feng was also shocked. The Glory Alliance only had 4 life-breaker experts. Yes, the White Tiger King's eyes were deep. The Peerless Palace is definitely a dark horse in this battle for the Royal Crystal, especially this Princess Luo. According to King Fan Xing, she got the Royal Crystal from the Miracle Garden under the noses of the 3 Luotian Alliance experts. Chapter 1059. It was fine if they did not make a sound, but when they did, they would amaze the world. This was exactly how the Peerless Palace and Princess Luo were described. The Hall of Peerless, who had been keeping a low profile and seemed to be relying on the Luo-Shan Alliance to survive, had suddenly erupted with an energy that left everyone dumbfounded. No one had thought that they could snatch the food from the tiger's mouth, snatching the Great Imperial Crystal from the hands of Yanmo clan, Zhao Tian clan, and White Wolf from the Luotian Alliance. The difficulty was extraordinarily high. Even someone as strong as King Fan Xing could not squeeze into the final fight. The Peerless Palace is very smart. They did not split their forces like us. Except for the Peerless Empress, Princess Qi, Princess Li, and Princess Luo are in the same stone formation to maximize their strength, White Tiger King said. They not only have strength, but also luck, Little White Tiger sighed. Lin Feng nodded. Their choice is very smart. The Luotian Union has the Giant, the Glory Union has the White Tiger King, and the Miracle Garden has the Feiji race and the Hunling race. The other giant stone formation is even stronger. The Luotian Union, and the Scarlet Sun race chose the weakest one, maximizing their strength and fighting for the area with the weakest combat power. The Sword Beauty was as beautiful as cherry blossoms. She smiled wholeheartedly. Needless to say, this must be the strategy of the smartest Princess Li. It's the 3rd one. White Tiger King nodded and looked into the distance with bright eyes. Lin Feng followed White Tiger King's gaze. It was the land of god spirits. He knew what he was thinking. As a martial artist, he naturally yearned for the place where his ancestors once met. Although White Tiger King already had the Little Imperial Crystal, the Great Imperial Crystal was definitely different. Now, the 3 Great Imperial Crystals were settled. One was obtained by the Feiji clan, one was obtained by the Luotian Alliance, and one was obtained by Princess Luo. The rest, 2 or 3. Lin Feng thought to himself. According to the White Tiger King, there were still 2 giant stone arrays left in the Great Ruins. The Miracle Garden and the Luotian Alliance were both searching for the 6th giant stone array. According to the Miracle Garden's records of the Emperor's divine realm, the 6th giant stone array might exist. But now, all the human powers had found were only 2 stone formations and 2 Great U Imperial crystals. The forces that were originally divided into 3 would be divided into 2 equally. Their combat prowess would definitely increase greatly. At that time, the competition would be incomparably bitter, and only the capable would be able to win. With his strength, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens for him to obtain one of them in this contest of strength. With Zhu Qing and the Luotian Union's hatred towards me, if I participate in the battle, they will definitely take advantage of the chaos to make a move. Lin Feng was very clear. At that time, both King Tianyao and King White Tiger would have their attention focused on the fight for the Great U Imperial crystals and would have no time to care about him. Nodding slightly, Lin Feng already had a plan in mind. I have just discussed with King Tianyao. The Peerless Hall strategy is correct and suitable for us. White Tiger King said, King Tianyao lost to Luo in the fight for the second Great U Imperial crystal. If we were all there, the result might be different. Lin Feng nodded. No matter if it was King Tianyao or King White Tiger, their individual combat strength was indeed strong, but there was always someone stronger. The 5 races of Tian Mo, Luo Shin Union, Stellar Hall, Peerless Hall, and Insect Hall weren't here to watch the show. Their combat strength was obvious to all. So, are we going over, or are King Tianyao and the others coming over? White Tiger asked. They will come over. White Tiger King said. They're the Scarlet Sun clan and Luo Shun over there. Their combat strength is stronger than here. The Scarlet Sun clan was undoubtedly the strongest clan among the 5 races of Tian Mo. Luo Shun was the leader of the Luotian Union, a super expert who obtained the second Great U Imperial crystal. His strength was unfathomable. Since they were waiting at the huge stone formation on the other side, they wouldn't easily move. With King Tianyao and King Fanxing joining us, our chances of winning will be much higher. Bambo clenched his fists and was very excited. The sword Beauty glanced at him and giggled. If Zhu Qing sees all of us gathered here, his face will probably turn black. Look at him, he is still so proud. White Tiger laughed. He is proud because the Luotian Union has reinforcements. I guess White Wolf and the others are coming. Tomorrow will decide the result. White Tiger King's eyes were deep. If our Glory Union is lucky, tomorrow will be the best time. If we can't get the Great U Imperial Crystal tomorrow, it will only get harder and harder. The chances are slim. Lin Feng nodded. After tomorrow, there would only be one huge stone formation left. When all the forces gathered here, the Glory Union wouldn't have the advantage. However, he shouldn't participate in this grand event. White Tiger King, please help me inform King Tianyao and King Fanxing that I have something to do and will leave first. Lin Feng said. Oh. The White Tiger King was slightly surprised, and its tiger eyes looked at Lin Feng. The little white tiger and the other 2 were also very surprised. Bambo was puzzled and asked, Brother Lin Feng, this grand event is rarely seen in 10,000 years. Aren't you participating? That's right. Brother Lin Feng, what's the hurry? The little white tiger asked. Lin Feng smiled. It seems like Lin Feng has made up your mind. I won't keep you any longer. White Tiger King nodded and then took out a voice transmission stone and handed it over. Take this. If you encounter a crisis that you can't solve, contact me. I will rush over as soon as possible. Lin Feng's heart warmed as he took the voice transmission stone. Thank you. Be careful, the White Tiger King warned. Okay. Lin Feng nodded and said goodbye to White Tiger and the other 2 before leaving. White Tiger and the other 2 were left staring at each other in confusion. Bambo scratched his head and asked, Brother Lin Feng doesn't seem like someone who's afraid of trouble. Why did he suddenly become a coward? Brother Lin Feng killed the cultivators of the Luotian Union like flies, forcing the Luotian Union to issue a kill order. If he's a coward, there won't be anyone left standing here, White Tiger said. He must have something urgent to deal with. Sword Beauty speculated. Looking at Lin Feng's back, White Tiger King said, He's naturally not afraid of trouble. On the contrary, he likes to find trouble. Newborn calves aren't afraid of tigers. Lin Feng's ambition isn't small. I thought that 2 years ago, Li Poji was already the future pillar and treasure of our glory union. I didn't expect. There are even more monstrous geniuses than him. In the great ruins. Swoosh. Lin Feng took advantage of the chaos to leave. Although he didn't want to provoke Zhu Qing, there was no reason for him to hesitate and act hesitantly because of Zhu Qing. The 3 Great Yu Imperial Crystals were already taken. He didn't have the strength to obtain the remaining 2, but it didn't mean that he would give up. There was still a chance. There's an 80% chance that there's another Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Lin Feng was very clear that since there was a difference between Great Yu Imperial Crystals and Little Yu Imperial Crystals, then Great Yu Imperial Crystals were naturally more useful for Yu Emperor Realm cultivators. Miracle Garden, Luotian Union, and Glory Union can't find the 6-stone array. This is my best chance. Lin Feng's eyes were bright, revealing his hope and ambition. He was fully capable of finding it because he had a secret that they didn't know. The Dimensional Box. Chapter 1060. Zhu Qing didn't chase after him. Lin Feng could understand. To Zhu Qing, the most important thing right now was the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. This was a fatal attraction to most life-breaking experts. His ancestor, Emperor Minwu, had a fortuitous encounter in the Yu Imperial Realm. He obtained an ancient treasure and became an immortal legend. Even if he chases after me, he won't be able to catch me. Lin Feng already had a plan. From the time he opened the dimensional box, from the time he sensed Zhu Qing's aura and used the moon shuttle incantation to when Zhu Qing caught up to him, it took more than 10 seconds. By then, he would have already entered the dimensional box. He looked at the inconspicuous dimensional box in his hand. It had been stored in the glory treasury for so many years, but it had become a strange item now. Every Stonehenge is an independent room in the alternate dimension, and this independent room should be the place where the stone arrays store the mechanical warriors. Lin Feng thought to himself. The reason why he couldn't find the mechanical warriors in the stone arrays was simple. It was because they existed in the dimensional box. Unless one had the strength of a nebulous system, it was impossible to find them. I can use the dimensional box to determine the surrounding stone arrays. Although the range isn't big, the Great Ruins isn't big either. Lin Feng smiled. The only variable now was time. He had to find the 6th stone array hidden in the Great Ruins as soon as possible. It must be hidden very well. Otherwise, the Miracle Garden, Luotian Alliance, and Glory Alliance wouldn't have failed to find it. Once this stone array was lit up, the mechanical warriors would appear in the Great Ruins. At that time, his advantage would no longer exist. Princess Xian is so powerful. Yeah, she's so gentle and kind. I didn't expect her to be so strong. Isn't that so? It said that she obtained the Yu Imperial Crystal in the Miracle Garden under the noses of the 3 experts of the Luotian Alliance. The White Wolf of the Luotian Alliance is ranked 43rd. The poor Yama King of the Yama race is ranked 7th. Lei Jin of the Zhao Tian race is the strongest, ranked 19th. He's one of the top 20 life-breaking experts in the Nirvana world. That means Princess Xian is stronger than Lei Jin? Then wouldn't the Minwa heavenly ranking change? That won't be the case. At most, we'll just change the Minwa Young Master list. The rule of the contest for Great Yu Imperial Crystals is that whoever gets the crystal first will be the winner, and no one else is allowed to snatch it. Luck plays a big part in this contest, as it is most advantageous for warriors with good movement skills. For example, the Patriarch of Flying Ji Clan, Ji Ing, got the first Great Yu Imperial Crystal before Master of Star Palace and King Koen. He is ranked 15th on the ranking list of Imperial Crystals, just below the 2 of them. That's pretty impressive. No matter what, Jiying is ranked 15th and Luotian is ranked 4th. Princess Luo wasn't even on the Minwa ranking before, so no one knew she was a Lifebreaker expert. Lin Feng sped through the Great Ruins. Along the way, all the discussions revolved around Princess Qion. There were all sorts of exclamations and praises, especially since Princess Qion was a woman. She was extremely rare among life-breaking experts, making her even more admirable. Even Lin Feng was curious just how powerful the legendary Princess Qion was. No matter what, The news about him and the Luo-Shan alliance was overshadowed. I'm only a heaven glimpse expert. Even if I defeated Kuang Yin of the Luo-Shan alliance, Kuang Yin is only ranked 99th on the Minwu ranking. It's nothing. Lin Feng smiled. Princess Qiong's opponents were all experts on the Minwu ranking. Although there was only one person on the heaven ranking, it was still quite impressive. He only learned about the Minwu ranking after meeting the White Tiger King. This was the Miracle Sacred Domain's ranking of all the life-breaking experts in the Nirvana world. Those ranked 1 to 0 were called the Minwu Heaven ranking. Those ranked 0 to 50 were called the Minwu Earth ranking. And those ranked after 50 were called the Minwu Human ranking. Including Princess Qiong, there are currently 15 life-breaking experts on the Minwu ranking. Lin Feng thought. Only when one reached the top of the Nirvana world's pyramid would they be able to see it. 15 life-breaking experts wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small number either. This was because life-breaking experts had a very long lifespan. If there wasn't a war, they wouldn't die. After all, Heaven Glimpse experts had a lifespan of 10,000 years. Life-breaking experts had a lifespan of 100,000 years, and they could live even longer if they ate the saint fruit. 15 life-breaking experts. I should be around the same as Kuang Yin, around the top 100. Lin Feng was quite satisfied. After all, he was only at the Heaven Glimpse stage. If he could break through to the life-breaking stage, even if it was only the first level, his ranking would quickly rise. The Miracle Garden was worthy of being the leader of the human forces. The 5 Heaven Silence clans had 1, the 12 King clans had 15, and there were 13 Miracle Saints. In total, there were 50 life-breaking experts. This was 5 times more than the Luo-Shan Union and the Glory Union added together. The Luo-Shan Union and the Glory Union have the strongest experts. The Heavenly Glory King is ranked 6, and the White Tiger King is ranked 0. They have 2 Minwu Heaven ranking experts. The Luo-Shan Union is the same. The Luo-Shan Union is ranked 4, and the Giant King is ranked 18. They also have 2 Minwu Heaven ranking experts. However, they still can't compare to the Miracle Garden. The Miracle Garden took up half of the Minwu Heaven ranking's 0 spots. It was very terrifying. After all, they were the leader of the human race. The 5 Heaven Silence clans had the closest bloodline to Earth's second-generation humans. Adding on the best resources, it was understandable for them to have this kind of strength. For warriors, bloodline was very, very important. If the elders of the 5 Heaven Silence clans didn't enter the Death Knell graveyard and the Black Devil prison to find the Fiend Star, there would be no need to compete for the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Lin Feng knew that the Fei Ji clan's supreme elder, Ji Kun, who was ranked 1 among the human race, didn't come. Instead, it was the clan leader Ji Ying, who was ranked 15 on the Minwu Heaven ranking. The Zhaotian clan's Lei Hu, who was ranked 5 on the Minwu Heaven ranking, didn't come. It was Lei Jin, who was ranked 19 on the Minwu Heaven ranking. If it was Lei Hu, Princess Luo wouldn't be able to trick him. The Yin Mo clan's strongest expert, Lady Yin, who was ranked 8 on the Minwu Heaven ranking, didn't come. The clan leader Yin Macho also didn't come. Only the poor Yama King, who was ranked 7 on the Minwu Heaven ranking, came. The Yu Emperor's immortal realm is just a legend. It's still unknown if it really exists. Lin Feng said, even if it exists, we don't know what will happen after entering it. Even if there's a chance, I'm afraid it's just one person. Wasting the power of the entire Nirvana world to find an illusory power. It's not appropriate. Especially at this critical moment, it was even more inappropriate. The Fiend Star was growing every day. As the leader of a human race in the Nirvana world, the 5 Heaven Silence clans were duty-bound. For the Miracle Garden, it's enough to send out the second-tier experts. Lin Feng smiled. The Miracle Garden had taken at least 11 Little Yu Imperial Crystals. The first Great Yu Imperial Crystal belonged to the Fei Ji clan. If Princess Luo hadn't appeared, the Miracle Garden would have gotten the 3rd one. The chances of White Wolf getting it were not high. Besides, no matter who gets the chance, it's the same for the human race. Lin Feng pondered in his heart, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He sensed the location of the alternate space. There was a huge stone array in front of him. Chapter 1061. It's not this one. Lin Feng vetoed the idea before he even entered. He could vaguely sense many auras. Clearly, there were experts guarding this place. This should be the huge stone formation where King Heavenly Glory and Luo were waiting. Now that King Heavenly Glory had left, Lin Feng was afraid that he would be in danger if he went any closer. Therefore, he moved his body and confirmed the location before leaving. There's another huge stone formation. Lin Feng nodded his head. So far, he had confirmed the location of 4 out of the 5 huge stone formations he had discovered. Only the stone formation where the first Great Yu Imperial Crystal was found was left. Continue searching. Lin Feng knew that the hidden huge stone formation was not easy to find, and he would not run around like a headless fly. Instead, he searched from the outside to the inside of the great ruins. This method was the safest and most comprehensive. He would not miss a single spot. First, he had to confirm the location. If it was the ruins, he would not be able to do so because the ruins were too big and time was limited. However, the Great Ruins was not that big. This huge stone formation is very likely to be hidden by the power of science and technology. That's why it can't be discovered. Lin Feng thought to himself, the entire Great Ruins had been turned upside down by Miracle Garden. The only place that could be hidden was the various ruined buildings with the power of science and technology. Chapter 1062. Ancient Castle Ruins. Lin Feng was bold and daring, so he directly entered. He knew that there was not much time left. The 32nd day was about to arrive, and the phenomenon might appear at any time. Opportunities did not come every time. After entering, he saw a grotesque place. Many square, three-dimensional spaces were erected in the castle, all the way to the top of the castle. As far as the eye could see, there were dozens of them. Each square, three-dimensional space was like a waterfall flowing down. The aura was completely blocked, and he could not see what was inside. Looking up, Lin Feng could see that the top of the castle was the same as the outside. It was shining with gold and silver light, as if it was illuminated by lights. It was very beautiful. The entire castle ruins were very simple. There was nothing extra. These were the ruins. The outside has been destroyed, leaving only this castle. Lin Feng examined it carefully. Every square, three-dimensional space was like a pillar in the ruins of the ancient castle, supporting the ancient castle. The technology of the star system was too advanced. He did not know what these pillar-like square, three-dimensional spaces were. But at least he was sure of one thing. It is because of the support of these square, three-dimensional spaces that this ancient castle is intact, Lin Feng said. Every well-preserved ruin must have a huge technological power protecting it. Otherwise, it would have collapsed like the other ruins. His gaze quickly swept across. Although the entire castle was very large, it was flat and unobstructed. Clearly, the secret came from these square, three-dimensional spaces. The space walls were like a waterfall, like a magic mirror. It was very strange, but he did not know what was inside. Shua. Lin Feng quickly opened the alternate dimension box. First, to confirm the location of the stone array again. Second, to confirm the direction. In his opinion, the stone array was very likely hidden in these square, three-dimensional spaces. But it cannot be opened. Lin Feng was startled. The opening of the alternate dimension box failed. After a few seconds of silence, Lin Feng smiled. When the alternate dimension box is opened, a new room will be opened in the alternate dimension. But in this area, there's already a stone array room, so the activation of the alternate dimension box failed. A house had already been built in an empty space, so it was naturally impossible to build another one. So, the giant stone formation is here. Lin Feng was very sure at this moment. The secret was in these square, three-dimensional spaces. It was shaped like a waterfall. It was a very strange three-dimensional space. What was inside? A place for cultivation? Treasure? Or perhaps something's not right. Lin Feng immediately rejected the idea. He looked at these square, three-dimensional spaces. If the huge stone array was inside, it should have been discovered long ago. Moreover, If these square, three-dimensional spaces were really so good, they wouldn't be empty right now. In other words, it might be very dangerous inside, Lin Feng said to himself. Using the information he had confirmed, he would be able to get the answer very clearly. No matter how confident he was, he did not think that he could recklessly barge into the divine ruins. No matter what, this place used to be a cosmic system-state technology. He couldn't be careless. For it to still be standing after so many years, there must be some secret behind it. Let's ask the White Tiger King. Lin Feng thought about it over and over again and acted cautiously. The voice transmission stone was quickly connected. Currently, the White Tiger King, King Tianyao, and King Fanxing were waiting for the fifth Great Yu Imperial Crystal to appear. Lin Feng didn't hide anything and told him everything that had happened in the castle. Haha, luckily you didn't act recklessly. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know how you died. The White Tiger King's voice was heard. There are 3 places of death in the Great Ruins. You must not enter them. One of them is the Death Castle that you are in. Death Castle. Lin Feng's heart trembled, and he secretly broke out in cold sweat. Do you see those huge waterfall-like pillars? Don't think that it's something good. There can't be any treasures inside. The moment you touch it, a terrifying electric shock will appear. If you are caught off guard, even a life-breaker expert will die without a doubt, the White Tiger King said. 10,000 electric shocks. Lin Feng's heart trembled, and he secretly let out a sigh of relief. As expected, those that could survive until now in the Great Ruins were definitely not ordinary existences. These square pillars were obviously protected by technology. Under normal circumstances, they did not consume energy. Once touched, they would be seen as an enemy and be attacked by 10,000 electric shocks. But the huge stone array was in this square space. What should he do? Are you sure these square spaces are pillars? Lin Feng asked. I'm sure, the White Tiger King replied. The White Tiger King replied. There were life-breaking stage powerhouses who risked their lives to touch it. This ancient castle seems mysterious and magical, but it's actually just an ordinary ruin. The 4 pillars seem mysterious and magnificent, but they're actually thorny roses. I understand, Lin Feng said. Thank you, White Tiger King. You're welcome. The White Tiger King smiled. The communication stone was suddenly cut off. Lin Feng secretly thanked his luck. Fortunately, he had asked. Otherwise, he would have rashly touched it. Although he would not be electrocuted to death with his body in reaction time, he would not be able to escape with serious injuries. At that time, it would really be an unexpected disaster. If these square spaces are really pillars used to support the castle. Lin Feng frowned and thought to himself, where was the huge stone array? His senses clearly showed that it was here. Wait, I seem to have made a mistake. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. If the huge stone array was in the square space, it meant that this seemingly small square space had another universe inside and was an independent existence. His current position in the alternate space naturally could not overlap with the room of the huge stone array. East, south, west, and north. He had tried opening the alternate space box in all 4 directions, but they all failed. So, the area I'm in now is the huge stone array? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He looked around, but he did not fall into a maze. Every huge stone array would have a special feeling once one entered, but he was very normal now. His connection with the outside world was still the same. However, the alternate space box indicated that he was overlapping with the room of the huge stone array. There seemed to be something hidden in this. Could it be that these square spaces are the huge stones? That's not right. Logically speaking, the huge stone arrays in the Great Ruins should all be the same. Moreover, the huge stones themselves should not have a defensive system. Lin Feng was deep in thought. He paced around and kept thinking. He kept feeling that the huge stone array was right beside him, but it was just a little bit away and could not be touched. Suddenly, Lin Feng stopped. A pair of bright eyes stared at the center of the castle, at the ground where gold and silver intersected. Suddenly, a thought flashed in his mind. Lin Feng laughed hoarsely. I understand. Chapter 1063. Everyone had the habit of thinking. The moment one entered the ancient castle, they would definitely be attracted by the mysterious and beautiful square space that looked like a waterfall. It was densely packed and looked very magical. In comparison, the gold and silver castle roof looked very ordinary. Besides the flowing light, it was no different from the roofs of other palaces and ancient castles. But in fact, swish! A beam of light pierced through the castle roof and instantly disappeared inside. There was no collision. It was like falling into an endless swamp and was instantly swallowed. Not only did the square pillars of this ancient castle have a power that prevented people from approaching, even the castle roof was unpredictable. Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile as he let out a sigh of relief. It seems like once bitten, twice shy. Actually, what is with the poisonous snake might not necessarily be poisonous insects. It might be immortal herbs and spirit fruits. Lin Feng gently leaped into the air. Divine patterns appeared and triggered his bloodline and origin. Although he was very confident, he had to take full defensive measures to ensure that nothing would go wrong. He went straight to the castle roof. His right hand touched the castle roof. The moment the gold and silver light intersected, his body disappeared. He passed through the gold and silver light and instantly looked brand new. What entered his eyes were huge, upside-down rocks that were connected to the castle roof. Lin Feng smiled with bright eyes. This was the huge stone formation that all the major factions have been searching for. It was far away, but close at hand. Therefore, I cannot enter the alternate dimension in the ancient castle. This place is where the huge stone formation is located and not the square pillars. Lin Feng descended from the castle roof and looked up. The huge upside-down stone formation looked strange, but it was not strange at all. This was because the entire ancient castle was actually upside down. The Divine Spirit ruins went through a huge change. Most of the buildings were destroyed. Although this ancient castle was preserved, it should be upside down. Lin Feng sized up the surroundings. The ancient castle was flat. Even if it was upside down, there was nothing special about it, especially the castle roof. The gold and silver light intersecting was like a delicate drawing on the roof, adding flowers to brocade. As for the square pillars, they were connected to the top and bottom. There was no difference whether it was upside down or upside down. The only difference was the waterfall flowing down. It looked strange before, but if it was upside down, it was actually an energy cycle. From the bottom, it flowed upwards. It was like a spiral pattern, which was normal. Due to inertia, those who came to explore the castle and those who didn't know were basically swallowed up by the square three-dimensional space. Those who knew wouldn't even enter, let alone explore the top of the castle. At this time, Lin Feng completely understood. In fact, even he himself would not have thought that the giant stone formation would be on the top of the castle. If he didn't have the dimensional box, he would have left long ago. Actually, that's true. None of the large stone formations are hidden. They're very eye-catching. Lin Feng said. All the large stone formations were easy to find, including the one in the ancient castle. The front of the stone formation was visible to the outside, but it just happened to be turned upside down, so it couldn't be found. The golden and silver light is the color of the ancient castle itself, not the large stone array. Lin Feng nodded. Furthermore, he didn't feel the change in space when he entered the stone array. In other words, the stone array hadn't been lit up yet. He had found it at the right time. Today was the 32nd day, and there were only 2 more large stone formations left. It could be today or tomorrow. This large stone formation would be lit up, and the mechanical warriors would appear. Killing them would give him the Great U Imperial Crystal. So, I just need to wait here quietly. Lin Feng smiled. He was determined to get this Great U Imperial Crystal. In the Great Ruins, outside the large stone formation, experts gathered in Miracle Garden. The 5 clans of Tian Mo, Luotian Alliance, Glory Alliance, Starry Hall, Kuan Hall, Peerless Hall, the 4 major sects and 8 major sects, including those lone wolves who knew everything, surrounded the large stone formation, eyeing covetously. This would be a battle of strength. This Great U Imperial Crystal was very valuable. This time, the element of luck would be reduced to the minimum. There was only one Great U Imperial Crystal in the first four, and this time, the 5 clans of Heaven Silence had joined forces to fight against the enemy. They knew very well that they had to join forces to have a chance of winning, as they lacked the top 10 experts on the Heaven ranking. In fact, their alliance was the strongest at the moment. They had 3 experts on the Heavenly ranking, which was more than Luotian Alliance and Glory Alliance. As for the experts on the Earthly ranking, Luotian Alliance and Glory Alliance combined couldn't be compared to Miracle Garden. However, Luotian Alliance and Glory Alliance wouldn't treat Miracle Garden as an enemy. They were more at odds with each other. Heavenly Glory King and Luotian Alliance, White Tiger King and Ju Qing had accumulated deep grudges. It could be seen that once a fight broke out, the 2 alliances would definitely fight against each other. On the other side, Starry Hall Master, who was ranked 10th on the Heavenly ranking, and King Kun, who was ranked 13th on the Heavenly ranking, were also sworn enemies. Only the 3 beauties of the Peerless Palace, who were as beautiful as flowers, were not targeted by anyone. Princess Chi was not inferior to men. She was the most similar to the Peerless Empress. She was steady, magnanimous, and mature. Princess Li had a gentle smile. Her bright eyes were wise and intelligent. She was like a crafty and beautiful elf. The quiet and gentle Princess Chong was like a tranquil small lake. She gave people a gentle and comfortable feeling. The 3 princesses each had their own merits. They attracted the attention of countless life-breaking experts. Who wouldn't want to marry such women? If they were the descendants of 2 life-breaking experts, their bloodlines would definitely be extraordinary. The 4 great sects and the 8 great sects were all rubbing their palms. For them, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not only could they improve their strength, but they could also make their sects rise. They would no longer be under the 2 alliances and 3 palaces. Every martial artist that came to the outskirts of the giant stone array was ambitious. In the darkness, a figure was lurking like a viper. Although he had seized the 4th Great U Imperial Crystal, as a top assassin, he wouldn't miss this Great U Imperial Crystal. If he could get it, no matter which power he sold it to, he would be able to make a fortune. Everything was ready, except for the east wind. Time passed slowly. There was no special rule for the heavenly vision. It could appear at any point on the 32nd day. All the experts held their breaths and were fully prepared. They surrounded the stone formation, waiting for the heavenly vision to appear and the formation to light up. Many pairs of eyes shone brightly, and many figures were eager to give it a try. Suddenly, swoosh, a dazzling light appeared, and the heavenly vision appeared again in the god's spirit ruins. The 5-colored auspicious clouds and the surging aura caused the god's spirit ruins to move. A huge statue of Emperor Yu appeared. The aura of the experts of the Peerless Palace exploded instantly, and they were ready to snatch the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. But, however, the huge stone array was completely silent. Nothing happened. Chapter 1064. Death Castle, Great Ruins. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk the black blade of Sin fell, and Lin Feng killed a mechanical warrior directly. The origin of light destroyed everything except for a crystal fragment that was shaped like a triangle. There was a powerful energy contained within it. Lin Feng reached out and took it with a smile. Although he had never seen a Great Yu Imperial Crystal, he was 100% sure that this triangular crystal fragment was a Great Yu Imperial Crystal. He raised his head to look at the huge stone array that had been lit up. The gold and silver color on the top of the castle could no longer cover its brilliance. He believed that it wouldn't be long before this huge stone array was discovered by the sharp-eyed martial artists. However, it was a treasure mountain that had been emptied. Even if they found it, it would be useless. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk Lin Feng immediately disappeared to avoid any more trouble. He returned to the different dimension. It would no longer be occupied by the stone array. Lin Feng took out 2 crystal fragments, one in the shape of a diamond, and the other in the shape of a triangle, but in fact, it was fan-shaped, about 10 times the difference in size. Lin Feng gestured carefully. Little U Imperial crystals and Great U Imperial crystals were different in size and shape, but the energy contained in them was the same. If both you imperial crystals were the keys to enter you Emperor's divine realm, then what was the difference between the two? Lin Feng was very curious. He compared the two you imperial crystals and pondered. Is it the same as the glory treasure vault, the key to the treasure vault? Lin Feng thought, the big you imperial crystal can open the big treasure vault, and the small one can open the small one. Frowning slightly, Lin Feng pondered and pondered. Obviously, it was not useful for him to take two you imperial crystals. I can exchange one of them. The value of you imperial crystals was beyond doubt. As long as he was willing to sell them, he would certainly make a lot of money. Compared with the uncertainty of you Emperor's divine realm, this was obviously a good deal. But what is the difference between little u imperial crystals and great u imperial crystals? Lin Feng pressed his lips together and continued to study. He believed that this must be related to some secrets of you Emperor's divine realm within the Great Ruins. At this moment, the experts from the Miracle Garden, Luotian Alliance, and Glory Alliance had spread out, digging 3 feet into the ground to search for the mechanical warriors. This was because they knew that even if they did not find the Great Stone Matrix, the mechanical warriors would definitely run out and be in the Great Ruins. The mechanical warriors had the combat strength of a peak Heaven Glimpse expert. They weren't much of a threat to life-breaking experts. Whoever found it would get the 5th Great U Imperial Crystal. After all, there were still 12 hours before the 33rd day, and the last Great U Imperial Crystal would not appear during this period of time. Found it! Found it! When the news spread, it was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. What they found was not the 5th Great U Imperial Crystal, but the huge stone formation that had been hidden under everyone's eyes. This wasn't really a secret. One person spread it to 10, 10 spread it to 100, and very soon, everyone knew about it. No way, Death Ancient Castle. Like I said, the light pillar in Death Castle is the most suspicious. No, the giant stone formation was originally hidden at the top of Death Castle. It was just covered by the gold and silver light. This is so infuriating. I went to Death Ancient Castle to take a look. Why didn't I find it? Don't beat your chest and stamp your feet here. Who would find it if it was hidden so mysteriously? Now, let's see who was lucky enough to catch that mechanical warrior. Hurry up. When the news spread, many martial artists felt regretful. Many of them had been to Death Ancient Castle before, but they just brushed past it. No one expected that Death Ancient Castle was upside down and missed the giant stone formation. However, they didn't have time to feel regretful. Everyone was searching for that mechanical warrior at full speed, eager to get lucky. Death Ancient Castle. White Tiger King and the others were stunned when they heard the news. Master, when Brother Lin Feng contacted you, he seemed to be at. White Tiger King widened his eyes and was stunned. Yes, he asked me about Death Ancient Castle. The White Tiger King's eyes were bright and full of expression, and his heartbeat quickened. He didn't know if Lin Feng was doing this intentionally or not, but the world was just so coincidental. The White Tiger King frowned and looked at the sound transmission stone with some hesitation. Lin Feng couldn't have found the giant stone formation, right? The sword beauty covered her mouth in shock. The probability isn't high. Banbo shook his head and said, many martial artists from Miracle Garden, Luotian Union, and our Glory Union have entered Death Ancient Castle, but no one noticed that there was something else at the top of the castle. White Tiger King said, even if they noticed it, no one would dare to touch that golden and silver light. Everyone nodded. Any martial artist with experience knew how terrifying Death Ancient Castle was. Once those 4 pillars were touched, there would be tens of thousands of electric currents. Even life-breaking experts couldn't stand it. So who would dare to touch the golden and silver light at the top? Moreover, the golden and silver light itself looked like a normal castle top. Should we ask him, Master? White Tiger King asked. White Tiger King pondered for a while and shook his head. Let's continue searching. Yes, Master. In the alternate space. It's about time. Lin Feng put away the black blade of sin and let out a sigh of relief. He was clear that all the martial artists would search for mechanical warriors in the Great Ruins after the phenomenon. Therefore, he hid to avoid trouble if he encountered Luotian Union. He wasn't afraid of Luotian Union, but now wasn't the time to compete with them. Yu Huang had risen in the immortal realm, and he had obtained 2 keys. It was definitely a fortuitous encounter. It's the 33rd day now. They should have returned to the giant stone array. Lin Feng smiled. He didn't miss anything. It's time to deal with the Yu Huang crystal and sell it for a good price. It was too wasteful for him to take 2 crystals each. However, selling the Yu Huang crystal depended on the timing. The best time was when all the Yu Huang crystals were settled. At that time, he would be able to sell it for the best price. My luck is not bad. Lin Feng smiled and left the alternate space. In the great ruins, outside the giant stone array. At this moment, just as Lin Feng expected, the forces led by Miracle Garden, Luotian Union, and Glory Union had all gathered. The remaining few martial artists were still searching for the mechanical warriors. However, everyone knew that the possibility of finding them was very small. After 12 hours of searching, the entire great ruins had been turned upside down. With the discovery of the giant stone array, even if there were 100 or 1,000 mechanical warriors, they would have been found, not to mention just one. I don't know who secretly hid it. They didn't even say anything. Nonsense. If it were you, you would also keep it to yourself. Who would take a great Yu Huang crystal and make a fuss about it? Isn't that asking for trouble? In my opinion, it must be Miracle Garden who took it. You see, they were the first to return to the giant stone array. It means that they already knew about it. It doesn't matter who took it. Anyway, we don't have such luck. Let's wait for the last great Yu Huang crystal. I'll fight with them. Chapter 1065. Any news? White Tiger King asked. King Tianyao shook his head and said, I don't think it's the 5 clans or the Luo Shun alliance. King Fan Xing said, if a major force obtained the 5th Great Yu Imperial Crystal, they would announce it to the public to boost their morale. The warlords agreed. Miracle Garden had set a rule that no one was allowed to snatch the Imperial Crystal. Both the Miracle Garden and the Luotian Alliance were eager to obtain more Imperial Crystals and become the leader. Only those powers with weaker overall strength would be on tenterhooks after getting their hands on the Great Yu Imperial Crystals and would be overcautious. It doesn't matter who gets it. Our Glory Alliance isn't that lucky. King Tianyao sounded disappointed. He looked at King Fan Xing apologetically. The latter shrugged and said, don't worry about it. Big brother, second brother, both of you can go in. It doesn't matter if I go in or not. Until now, the Glory Alliance had only obtained 2 Imperial Crystals. It was only enough for King Tianyao and White Tiger King to enter. Actually, White Tiger King hesitated for a moment. A face appeared in his mind. He wanted to say something, but stopped. King Tianyao looked over. Second brother, you seem to know something. King Fan Xing's eyes flickered. It's nothing. White Tiger King smiled. The white tiger beside him said, Master wants to say that our Glory Alliance actually has a chance to obtain the 5th Great Yu Imperial Crystal. The white tiger deliberately lowered its voice. King Tianyao, King Fan Xing, and the other warlords were stunned. Is that true, second brother? King Tianyao asked. White Tiger King stared at the white tiger and explained, it's just a possibility. We can't be sure. Tell us, second brother, King Fan Xing said. White Tiger King nodded. Then, he told King Fan Xing everything he knew about Lin Feng. The 7th warlord, Lin Feng. Everyone was dumbfounded, especially Li Lang, young Master Jianyu, and the others. They were very familiar with Lin Feng. They even taught Lin Feng some skills during the ranking competition 2 years ago. King Fan Xing laughed and said, if that's the case, it's a blessing for the Glory Alliance. Sovereign Tianyao said sullenly, entering Death Ancient Castle is nothing. So many people entered, but no one discovered it. At the very least, even if Lin Feng has found the stone formation and obtained the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, so what? Everyone fell silent. Indeed, everyone was selfish. Even if Lin Feng got the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, it would be his own. King Fan Xing smiled. I'm happy for him. What's the difference between me and Lin Feng? The difference is huge. King Tianyao said, he is, after all, just a warlord, and the Great Yu Imperial Crystal is no different from a reckless waste in his hands. The divine realm of Emperor Yu is destined to be a stage for individuals. How is he going to compete with experts like Ji Ying, Luo, and Death Date? Your words are crude, but your reasoning isn't. The White Tiger King nodded. Everyone agreed. King Tianyao was speaking the truth. Don't waste your time thinking about this. This is just one possibility, said White Tiger. The greater possibility is that he did not get the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Outside the huge stone array, Lin Feng was standing on top of a ruined building, looking at the divine realm from afar. There was still some distance between this place and the stone formation. Although he could reach it in the blink of an eye, it was still too long for him to compete for the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. The time to race against time was fleeting. Obviously, Lin Feng had no intention of competing for the 6th Great Yu Imperial Crystal. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Lin Feng knew that with his current strength, he was still not strong enough to compete with those experts on the heavenly rankings. If that was the case, he might as well stay out of it. Divine Realm of Emperor Yu, the Divine Realm. Lin Feng murmured in his heart as he looked into the distance. He was waiting for the Divine Realm to truly open. As long as the last key was born today, the mysterious veil of the unique and magnificent Divine Realm would be unveiled. Suddenly, slap. Lin Feng's heart tightened. His expression changed, and he immediately turned his head around. He saw a man in a white robe flying over with the wind, looking at him with a pair of clear and bright eyes. He was curious and surprised. Little brother, you have a quick reaction. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Feng's heart raced. He was very confident in his sensing ability, but this time, it was a complete failure. He could only barely sense the other party at such a close distance. It was more of an intuition than a sense of perception. Such a cultivation base was frightening. There were 3 possibilities. First, the other party was a nebula-grade expert, whose life level was higher than his. Second, the other party was a Saint Force cultivator at the life-breaking stage, whose soul cultivation base was extremely terrifying. Third, the other party had a top-grade treasure that could hide his aura. The first of these 3 possibilities could be ruled out. The second and third were all possible. The third was still okay, but if it was the second, it would be too terrifying. Because Lin Feng's innate soul was close to the life-breaking stage, and with the 3rd bloodline awakening and the nurturing of the 10,000 origin mustard stone, the cultivation base of his innate soul was comparable to a Saint Force cultivator at the life-breaking stage. Greetings, Senior. Lin Feng bowed politely. Fortunately, the white-robed man in front of him did not have any killing intent. It should be a coincidence. Don't be so polite. You can call me Brother Bai if you are polite. What's your name? The white-robed man smiled kindly. Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the expression on the white-robed man's face and did not hide it. Oh. The white-robed man nodded in realization. He looked at Lin Feng from head to toe and suddenly laughed. No wonder. From his expression, he clearly knew that he had killed the Lu Ocean Alliance's experts, but he did not show any hatred or killing intent. Instead, he seemed to be admiring, daring. That's a real man. Those hypocrites in the Trail Garden are much stronger. I never thought that the Glory Alliance would have such a rising star. You can compete with my disciple now. The white-robed man laughed heartily. Senior's disciple must be a man of character, Lin Feng said. The white-robed man shrugged. Like you, he is a self-cultivator. Unfortunately, this cultivation path is easy to start but hard to master. It is extremely difficult to open the second aperture. Second aperture? Lin Feng was slightly stunned. The white-robed man's eyes shone brightly. However, there are many things in life that are beyond one's control. Walking the path of self-cultivation is at least free and unrestrained. The white-robed man's smile was filled with helplessness. Actually, I envy you. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Brother Bai, you are... Just as he finished speaking, the white-robed man's eyes suddenly shone. Lin Feng was also moved in that instant. He turned his head to look at the god's spiritual land. At this moment, endless light shone from the god's spiritual land and illuminated the sky. The statue of Emperor Yu appeared again. The 33rd heavenly vision. It's finally here. The white-robed man's eyes shone brightly. Lin Feng looked back at the white-robed man. The latter smiled. I'm leaving. Brother Lin, we'll meet again if fate allows. After saying that, he disappeared like the wind. Looking at the white-robed man's back, from the way he spoke and the strength he displayed, Lin Feng eliminated the experts on the demon list one by one. In the end, there was only one person left, and that person was certain. Chapter 1066. There's always a taller mountain. Lin Feng sighed. A large number of life-breaking experts had gathered at the Divine Spirit Ruins. The experts on the Divine Spirit Heaven list were all stronger than the previous. Ranguro was White Tiger King, 18 was Giant, 15 was Ji Ying, 10 was Stellar Hall Lord, 9 was Death's Son, 6 was Heavenly Glory King, and 4 was Luo. Now, Li Mubai had appeared. Legend had it that the strongest hermit was as free as the wind, untraceable and boundless. He was a super expert who had been suppressing Luo on the Divine Spirit Heaven list all year round. Unlike Lone Rangers, hermits weren't passionate about battle and tempering themselves. They believed that cultivation was close to nature and was the cultivation of the heart. They focused on comprehension and could cultivate in seclusion for thousands of years as if it was just a day. They could cultivate and improve their strength. There was very little hostility in such an expert. They only exist in legends. I didn't expect to see them in person. The description of Li Mubai on the Crimson Sky list was also very vague and mysterious. However, Lin Feng was sure of one thing now. The reason why he couldn't sense Li Mubai was because his talent soul was above his own. In terms of talent soul, there should be no difference. Lin Feng knew that his talent soul was nurtured by the myriad origin mustard stone. Although it wasn't long, it was comparable to a life-breaking expert's talent soul. Only in terms of Heaven's Esper cultivation, he was one level lower than Li Mubai. Heaven's Esper cultivation has the second aperture. Lin Feng thought to himself, if I'm not wrong, Li Mubai's Heaven's Esper cultivation should be self-cultivation. Self-cultivation was to be the truest self, the true self, and respect the truest thoughts in one's heart. Therefore, self-cultivation was not perfect because there was no perfect human. Self-cultivation was to be the perfect self. Everyone had a perfect thought in their heart. What was the best for them, and what was the most correct thing to do? Hiding the truest thoughts in the depths of one's heart was to be the perfect self. Self-cultivation is like a rugged path with many forks. You don't even know where you'll end up. But the cultivation of the self is different. It's a smooth path. Your heart will tell your perfect self what to do and how to walk. If the path of cultivation is smooth sailing, it will naturally be much easier to advance and open the second chakra than the cultivation of the self. Lin Feng nodded. Originally, it was good to cultivate, but it also lost a very important thing: freedom in the heart. The fight for the 6th Great Yu Imperial Crystal should begin now. A faint smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. He could not miss such a grand event, and he did not need to get close to the center of the whirlpool. At this moment, the Luotian Alliance had no time to care about him, so he could enjoy the ownership of the last Great Yu Imperial Crystal. They probably wouldn't have thought that a Cheng Yao gene like Brother Bai would appear out of nowhere. Lin Feng instantly sped away. Ranked 3rd on the Mingwu list, the strongest Saint Power cultivator in the Nirvana world. The arrival of Li Mubai and the competition for the 6th Great Yu Imperial Crystal were definitely at the level of a nuclear bomb. Even though Brother Bai had missed the best opportunity because of his conversation with him, for a powerhouse like Brother Bai, no matter when he arrived, he would still be the strongest competitor outside the huge stone array. Just as Lin Feng had predicted, the most intense battle had begun. The moment the mechanical warriors appeared, they were bombarded by countless forces. For the mechanical warriors, it was an absolute disaster. The Great Yu Imperial Crystal appeared almost instantly. However, it was not easy for it to fall into their hands. The flames of war broke out outside the huge stone array. Countless forces bombarded each other, kicking the Great U Imperial Crystal around like a shuttlecock. If they could not get it, they would not let others get it. Any powerhouse who wanted to reach for the Great U Imperial Crystal would face the same treatment as the mechanical warriors. Thousands of arrows pierced their hearts. If they did not want to die, they could only give up. This kind of competition was very cruel. Boom! Boom! An ungrateful loner tried to snatch the Great U Imperial Crystal, but before his fingers could touch it, he was bombarded beyond recognition by countless forces. His super heaven-grade armor was completely shattered. Miracle Garden's combat power was the strongest, especially when the 5 clans of Tion Mo joined forces. However, they lacked a true leader, so they were not strong enough to face the attacks of the powerhouses on the heaven list, especially when the 3 halls unexpectedly joined forces. Although they lacked enough life-breaking experts, the 10th-ranked Star Hall Master, the 13th-ranked King Kuan, and the 36th-ranked Princess Chi were not to be underestimated. One had to know that the strongest powerhouse in Miracle Garden was the 15th-ranked Jiying, and he was not good at close combat. They set up a smokescreen in advance, but they joined forces. How cunning! Lin Feng's eyes fell on the 2 beautiful women. They were Princess Li and Princess Chong of the Peerless Hall. Princess Li was quite smart. She had a clear and elegant smile. Although I don't know what method she used, but she's really powerful. Lin Feng admired her in his heart. The Kunming Hall and the Starry Hall had always been at odds with each other. Although they were not like the Glory Alliance and the Luotian Alliance, they were also sworn enemies. Princess Li was very powerful to make the 2 sworn enemies work together. In addition, Princess Chi, who had unfathomable strength and excellent body movement, was waiting for an opportunity. It was possible for the 3 halls to get the last U Imperial Crystal. At least, they were stronger than Luotian Alliance and Glory Alliance. They were dragging each other down. Lin Feng was also helpless. Apart from Luotian Alliance and King Tianyao, Luotian Alliance and Glory Alliance were already in a chaotic battle. White Tiger King and Zhu Qing, who were old enemies, were fighting again. Fanxing King and White Wolf were also fighting. Luotian Alliance had a strong individual combat power. Glory Alliance had many warlords, so they were not weak either. For example, Little White Tiger and Li Lang both had the combat power close to the Breaking Life realm. As for the 4 factions and 8 sects, plus other lone rangers and hermits, they were all fighting for themselves. The Great U Imperial Crystal shone like a star in the sky. Everyone wanted to get it, but it was very troublesome. There were 3 people closest to it. One was Ji Ying of Miracle Garden, the second was Luotian Alliance, and the third was King Tianyao. But Luotian Alliance and King Tianyao were restraining each other, so no one could gain an advantage. Ji Ying was known for his body movement, but there was also another person with the same ghostly body movement. Princess Chi. With the fire support of Star Hall Master and King Kuan, Princess Chi flew into the flowers like a butterfly and got the Great U Imperial Crystal. The collision with Ji Ying was extremely fierce. At this time, Death Anniversary appeared in the darkness like a ghost. A top assassin was best at seizing opportunities. She would either not make a move, or she would make a clean and thunderous move. No matter how many enemies there were, Death Anniversary did not care. He just wanted to seize the only loophole and obtain the Great U Imperial Crystal. The 2 daggers intertwined with each other, and the rest of the cultivators widened their eyes. It seemed that Death Anniversary was about to reap the benefits of the third party, but asterisk whoosh, asterisk a gust of wind blew. Death Anniversary's expression changed, and the Great U Imperial Crystal in her hand slipped away like a loach. Asterisk slap. Asterisk it landed steadily on a smiling white-robed figure who was holding a feather fan like a poet. It was Li Mubai. Chapter 1067. The dust had settled. As soon as Li Mubai obtained the Great U Imperial Crystal, the feather fan flew out of his hand and spun like a top. In an instant, It shone with a dazzling light and circled around the Son of Death at a very fast speed. All the attacks that the Son of Death was supposed to withstand were absorbed by Li Mubai. What a gentleman! Lin Feng praised in his mind. If Li Mubai did not attack, Death's Son would undoubtedly become a scapegoat. Although these attacks could not seriously injure Death's Son, Li Mubai's action was indeed a gentleman. With a bright smile, Li Mubai nodded at Death's Son and said, "I'm sorry, brother Death's Sunday swoosh." Death's Son's eyes shone brightly, and his figure disappeared in a flash. Winner takes all, there was nothing to say. Although Li Mubai rarely appeared in the Nirvana world, everyone knew that he was ranked third in the heaven ranking. So, no one was stupid enough to have any ideas about him. Besides, according to the rules set by Miracle Garden, once a person got the Great U Imperial Crystal, he could not fight for it. Among them, the Glory Alliance, led by King Tianyao and King White Tiger, was undoubtedly the most worried one. The Miracle Garden had at least obtained one Great U Imperial Crystal, the Luotian Alliance had obtained one, and even the Peerless Palace had obtained one. The Miracle Garden and two alliances were the only ones who did not obtain one, and they only obtained 2 Little U Imperial Crystals. It could be said that they returned with disappointment. Fortunately, they were accompanied by 4 of the 5 clans of Tian Mo. Similarly, Star Palace and Insect Palace got nothing. At this point, all 33 U Imperial Crystals had appeared. It's over. I still want to have a look at you Emperor's Divine Realm. That is the legendary place where our ancestor made his fortune. We don't have the opportunity. What can we do? I envy them so much. Even if they give me 1 Little U Imperial Crystal, it will be fine. Forget it. Everyone has their own fate. Outside the stone formation, dozens of life-breaking experts and countless sects and clans gathered. Except for a small number of them who were whispering to each other, the rest of the clans were sighing dejectedly. After all, who did not want to enter you Emperor's Divine Realm? However, there were too many monks and too little porridge. Most of them were not fated to have the opportunity. Even Miracle Garden and Glory Alliance returned with disappointment. It took a lot of luck and opportunity to enter you Emperor's Divine Realm. Or perhaps, a ray of light appeared in the sky, causing the life-breaking experts to look over. They saw a very young figure appear in the sky. In an instant, everyone from the Luo Shan Alliance widened their eyes as they recognized him. Lin Feng, Brother Lin? The members of the Glory Alliance also recognized him. The eyes of the Heavenly Brilliance Monarch and the Fan Xing Monarch brightened. The White Tiger Monarch's battle intent surged as he instantly locked on a giant. Although he didn't know why Lin Feng had suddenly appeared, Lin Feng was a member of the Glory Alliance. As one of the 4 kings, he naturally had to protect him. Oh, Li Mubai looked at Lin Feng curiously. The 7th warlord of the Glory Alliance, Lin Feng. Lin Feng's voice was like a loud bell. He was the first to speak. His gaze swept over the confused crowd below, and he said, "I have a U Emperor crystal to sell. I wonder if everyone is interested?" Whoosh, a single stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. In an instant, there was an uproar outside the huge stone array. Except for the Glory Alliance and the Luo Shan Alliance. There was no need to mention the Luo Shan Alliance. Everyone knew about the grudge between Lin Feng and the Luo Shan Alliance. They were like fire and water. The Luotian Alliance had even issued a kill order for Lin Feng. Even if the Luotian Alliance offered a higher price, Lin Feng wouldn't sell it. As for the Glory Alliance, Lin Feng's action was undoubtedly not putting the 4 kings in his eyes. He had exceeded his authority. Although he had obtained the U Emperor Crystal himself, no matter what, he still had to go to the Glory Alliance. Lin Feng, the Heavenly Brilliance Monarch, shouted unhappily. Turning his head, Lin Feng looked at the Heavenly Brilliance Monarch and bowed politely. "Monarch Heavenly Brilliance, I want your U Emperor Crystal." The Heavenly Brilliance Monarch said coldly. Lin Feng smiled faintly. "I'm sorry, Monarch Heavenly Brilliance. There is only 1 U Emperor Crystal. The highest bidder will get it." The Glory Alliance had indeed treated him well. He had always repaid kindness. Therefore, he joined the Glory Alliance that day. However, it didn't mean that he had to obey the Glory Alliance. Joining the Glory Alliance wasn't the same as selling his life. It was impossible for him to have any sense of belonging to the Glory Alliance because he only belonged to Earth and China. He didn't belong to Planet Nemo, which had a deep hatred for Earth. Instantly, there was an uproar. You, the Heavenly Brilliance Monarch, was the leader of the Glory Alliance's 4 kings and a super expert ranked 6th on the Heaven list. He had never been contradicted like this before. He was instantly infuriated. You better think carefully. There was a hidden threat in his voice. It was obvious that he had the intention to expel Lin Feng from the Glory Alliance. How could Lin Feng not understand? However, he had always been amenable to coaxing and not coercion. Moreover, he had never relied on the Glory Alliance to survive. Haha! The Feiji race's patriarch, Jiying, stepped out and smiled. Monarch Heavenly Brilliance. If you don't want Brother Lin Feng, my Feiji race can accept him on your behalf. If you're interested, join my Scarlet Sun race. Chi spoke with bright eyes. Don't worry. With my Scarlet Sun race's protection, no one will dare to touch a single strand of your hair. Once these words came out, everyone in the Luotian Union was shocked. Luo Yu's expression turned ugly. Chi Yu's words clearly showed that he didn't put the Luotian Union in his eyes at all. However, the Scarlet Sun race was indeed qualified. They were the strongest race among the 5 races of Heaven's Silence. They had 6 life-breaking stage experts in their own race, 3 from their subordinate royal race, and 3 miracle saints. In terms of quantity and quality of life-breaking stage experts, the Scarlet Sun race was definitely the top in the Nirvana world. Monarch Heavenly Brilliance's face instantly turned pale. He had obviously forgotten that Lin Feng had indeed provoked the Luotian Union and killed countless people. He was wanted by the Luotian Union, but it was precisely because he had absolute strength. Such an audacious expert who dared to kill was like a bright bayonet. Who wouldn't want him? Moreover, Lin Feng was still so young. He had defeated Kuang Yin, a life-breaking stage expert, with the strength of a Heaven Glimpse stage expert. He had extraordinary talent and endless potential. Monarch Heavenly Brilliance didn't mean that. Monarch Fan Xing quickly came out to smooth things over. He smiled and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng also doesn't intend to leave the Glory Union, right? Of course, I don't have such plans for the time being. Lin Feng deliberately paused and emphasized the word for the time being. He naturally wouldn't be too harsh. Monarch Fan Xing and Monarch White Tiger were indeed easy to get along with, but Monarch Heavenly Brilliance didn't seem to be the same. Everything had to be left with a backup plan. All right, as long as Brother Lin is willing, my Scarlet Sun race will always welcome you. Chi Yu smiled gracefully. My Flying G race too. Flying Jiying smiled. The words of the first and second ranked races of the 5 races of Heaven Silence had established Lin Feng's status. Even though he was only a Heaven Glimpse stage expert, no one would look down on him. Monarch Heavenly Brilliance might be furious, but he knew that he was too impulsive. He didn't say anything and swallowed his anger. Back to the topic, who wants the Yuhuang crystal? Just make a bid, said Lin Feng. The highest bidder wins. Chapter 1068. There was a lot of discussion below, and everyone's eyes lit up. This was no doubt a good opportunity. There was no need to rely on luck or opportunity. It was a competition of who offered the highest price and who was more willing to pay the price. Suddenly, a voice came from below. If you want us to offer a price, you have to show us the Yu Royal Crystal first. Of course. Lin Feng raised his hand. Suddenly, the Yu Royal Crystal shone brightly, shocking everyone, including the 5 clans of Tian Mo and Luotian Alliance, who were not very interested before. Great Yu Royal Crystal. King Tian Yao was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Luo's eyes were filled with disbelief. Li Mubai was looking at Lin Feng with a faint smile. The experts of the 5 clans of Tian Mo stared with their eyes wide open, not even blinking. Did they see it wrong? This was indeed, yes, I want to sell the great Yu Royal Crystal. Lin Feng said with his eyes shining. Of course, he had his own plan. First, and most importantly, strictly speaking, the little U royal crystal was not his. It was given to him by the Bullhorn Squad. Although the Bullhorn Squad said that it was their thank you, he would not sell it. It would be unkind. Secondly, he had 27 little U royal crystals, which were far less valuable than the great U royal crystal. Lastly, he had both little U royal crystals and great U royal crystals at the same time. After pondering for a long time, he finally understood that the two were related. For him, the little U royal crystal was more suitable for him. It was too extravagant to have two great U royal crystals at the same time. It was better to exchange for more suitable treasures. Lin Feng knew very well that if he sold the great U royal crystal now, he would be able to sell it at the highest price. At least, the price would be more than double. It was a great opportunity. 2 billion battle points. The first to bid was the Passion sect of the 8 major sects, which caused an uproar in an instant. 2 billion battle merits were enough to buy 2 excellent, superior heaven rank holy treasures. The sect master of the Passion sect's eyes were blazing, but as soon as he finished speaking, 3 billion battle points. The Radiant sect, which was not very enthusiastic, bid directly for billion battle points. Phaseless faction bid 5 billion battle points. The Extreme Refinement sect, which was the head of the 8 sects and had 2 life-breaking experts, bid 6 billion battle points. The Wind Sword sect, the head of the 4 sects, also bid. The 4 sects and 8 sects all wanted to soar into the sky. To them, the Great U Imperial Crystal was the key. No matter how much they paid, it was worth it. Even if they lost their war credits, they could still earn more. But if they missed this opportunity, they would never get another chance. The stacking of 1 billion and 1 billion battle credits made those Lone Rangers and Hermits envious. They didn't have the financial resources to fight for it. Very soon, he had accumulated 8 billion battle merits. Lin Feng maintained a smile from beginning to end, neither confirming nor denying. In fact, he himself was also waiting to see how high the price of Great U Imperial Crystals would go, because there had never been such an auction before. The appearance of a Great U Imperial Crystal was one of a kind. 10 billion battle achievements, the Star Hall Master said, and he was rich. He was determined to win. The bid made the 4 sects and 8 sects hesitate. King Kuan glanced sideways and did not allow the Star Hall Master to be the only one in the limelight. 12 billion battle achievements. 13 billion. 14 billion. The 2 great palaces began to compete with each other, neither of them willing to be at a disadvantage. Both the Star Hall Master and King Kuan wanted the Great U Imperial Crystal, so they were willing to pay the price. On the contrary, the Peerless Palace, which had already obtained a Great U Imperial Crystal, was as calm as a lake. The intelligent Princess, Li, was whispering with Princess Qi and Princess An. No one knew what they were discussing. The price was approaching 20 billion battle achievements. It's done. Lin Feng finally spoke. He had to stop them. Although the battle achievements were very tempting, the real treasures could not be bought with battle achievements. In the world of battle achievements, the holy treasures of upper heaven level were extremely rare. No warriors were willing to sell them. He had also bought 2 holy treasures of middle heaven level at a premium. In the Glory Alliance, the only way to get a holy treasure of upper heaven level was to enter the Glory Treasury. For him now, the battle achievements were not very useful. I don't want battle achievements. I want treasures. Holy treasures, holy fruits, anything, as long as they are valuable. Lin Feng looked at the crowd. He had a standard in his heart. What he urgently needed now was a treasure that could enhance his combat power, because he was about to enter the U Emperor Divine Realm. There was no mercy there. Only with enough strength could he get more of what he wanted. Hung Xing armor. Without hesitation, the Star Hall Master took off the armor he was wearing, causing an uproar. This is a super armor of upper heaven level. With it, you could go anywhere in the 6 perilous lands. If you're interested, I can tell you how to use it in private. Lin Feng nodded. After all, this was the Star Hall Master's own armor. He couldn't reveal all his secrets in front of others. What's the use of a broken armor? King Kuan's hands glowed, and a creepy saber covered with thick ice appeared in his hand. I heard that Brother Lin is a saber user. This Wang Ji cold saber was taken from the bottom of the 10,000-year-old glacier. It combines attack and support, and has a strong restraining power against the origin of fire. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. A super armor of upper heaven level. As a saber user, he could feel the power of this saber. The heart of the saber caused the cold saber to vibrate continuously. Lin Feng clicked his tongue in admiration. If he didn't have the sinful black saber, this Wang Ji cold saber would definitely be the most suitable treasure for him. Glory Treasury's 9th level. Choose one. King Tianyao's cold voice sounded, and his face was pale. In an instant, cries of surprise filled the air. Everyone knew that the Glory Treasury had been built by the Glory Alliance after countless years. Especially the last level of the Glory Treasury. It was a treasury within a treasury. There weren't many treasures within it, merely a single-digit number. However, every single one of them was a precious treasure. Their value was comparable to a super armor of upper heaven level. Compared to Star Hall and Kuan Hall, the Glory Alliance was naturally more generous. Although King Tianyao cherished his face, he wanted the great Imperial crystal more. Wow, this time, Lin Feng was tempted. If the price was the same, he would naturally choose the Glory Alliance. After all, he was in the Glory Alliance now and would see them frequently. There was no need to make things too awkward. Moreover, everyone knew how precious the 9th level of the Glory Treasury was. He could even choose one of them. The only problem was time. I'm afraid I don't have enough time to go in and out, Lin Feng thought to himself. He needed immediate combat power and was about to enter the divine realm of Yu Emperor. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to return to the 9th level of the Glory Treasury in time. Just as Lin Feng was hesitating, Princess Li stepped out with a gentle smile. In a flash, 2 different treasures appeared in the air. These are 2 super armor of upper heaven level. Brother Lin, you could choose one of them. In addition, she gently pulled Princess Chong, who lowered her head and blushed. Princess Chong is willing to marry you. Chapter 1069. Everyone was in an uproar. They thought that the Peerless Hall didn't want to compete for the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, but they didn't expect that they would make such a big move. Marrying Princess Zhuo was simply a blessing from heaven. The Peerless Hall had a big business. If he became the husband of Princess Zhuo, he would have money and power. Moreover, the 3 daughters of the Peerless Empress were all captivating, overshadowing the moon and putting flowers to shame, each with their own unique characteristics. Princess Zhuo looked very virtuous, not as ostentatious as her 2 sisters. She had a kind of quiet and classic beauty. What more can a man ask for with such a wife? All of a sudden, Princess Li's price tag made all the strong practitioners of the life-breaking period envious. It was already a huge price tag to marry a strong practitioner of the life-breaking period. Good calculation, Lin Feng secretly said in his heart. Princess Li's move had a deep meaning. It seemed that she was offering a price, but she was secretly soliciting. With his potential, he would definitely become a strong practitioner of the life-breaking period in the future. Therefore, Princess Zhuo's marriage seemed to be a little unfair, but in fact, she just needed to wait for a few more days. The Peerless Hall was very good at this kind of political marriage. Princess Li obviously saw that he didn't have a close relationship with the Glory Alliance, so she came up with this plan. Lin Feng glanced at the Glory Alliance. As expected, King Tianyao and King White Tiger looked a little ugly, but this was his personal choice, so they couldn't say anything. However, I appreciate Princess Li's kindness. Lin Feng bowed slightly and said apologetically, Lin Feng's strength is too weak to marry. I'm afraid that I can't give Princess Zhuo happiness. I have no intention to marry someone of a higher status. If Lin Feng becomes successful in the future, I will visit you again with a big gift. He gently refused. Lin Feng gave face to Princess Zili and Princess Zhuo. After all, they were girls. It was too shameful to be refused in public. But if he refused now, people would only think that he didn't want to marry someone of a higher status. It would be a topic of ridicule, which would be beneficial to Princess Zhuo's reputation. King Tianyao and King White Tiger were relieved. They were really worried that Lin Feng couldn't control himself. At that time, they would really suffer a double loss. Oh, Princess Li's beautiful eyes moved, but she was also smart. She smiled. The matter with my sister can be discussed at length. If you are willing, the Peerless Hall is willing to exchange these two supreme heaven levels holy treasures for you imperial crystals. If you are willing, Princess Li's proposal. The value of two supreme heaven rank holy treasures was considerable. Price: only one or two supreme upper grade, upper heaven holy treasures. And upper grade. Upper grade was occasionally auction. Occasionally only one or two rare upper be occasionally only one or two supreme upper holy upper holy treasure. T. Even in the 6 forbidden lands, super heaven grade holy treasures were very rare, second only to super heaven grade perfect holy treasures. So the top super heaven grade holy treasures could even surpass super heaven grade perfect holy treasures if they could unleash their full power. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Of course, he was tempted. On the left was an umbrella-shaped holy treasure condensed with thunderlight. At first glance, he knew that it was an offensive treasure. After all, the lineage of thunder was best at attacking. On the right was a necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. The craftsmanship was exquisite. The heart-shaped pendant had many tiny gear notches at a close look, but it was very beautiful when combined. Thunder Paralysis Umbrella, a holy treasure of thunder attribute. I believe that you will be able to exert its full effect. Princess Li smiled and pointed to the heart-shaped pendant necklace. Treasure heart chain, a special holy treasure. As for how special it is, I can't tell you now, but you can rest assured that it is absolutely suitable for you. Lin Feng nodded. The value of the two treasures alone might not be as high as the Starhall Master's Hung Xing armor and King Kuin's Frostblade. However, their combined value was the highest at the moment. Especially to him, who needed immediate fighting power, the two treasures could be used directly. Maybe he could enter the 9th floor of the Glory Treasure House to pick a better one. But at present, he was more inclined to the offer of the Peerless Hall. Lin Feng made a gesture of agreement. All of a sudden, the scene became restless. King Tianyao's face was the most unsightly. He had already offered the most favorable conditions, but Lin Feng still chose the offer of the Peerless Hall. On the contrary, King White Tiger and King Fan Xing smiled confidently. They were more inclined to Lin Feng to choose other offers. After all, if Lin Feng got the super heaven grade holy treasure, it was equivalent to strengthening the power of the Glory Alliance. Entering the Yu Emperor's divine realm was a gamble, and there was a high possibility of returning empty-handed. King White Tiger could understand why Lin Feng sold the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, because Lin Feng's strength was not competitive. Among those who got the Great Yu Imperial Crystal with him, the weakest was Princess Qiong, but she was at least an expert of the life-breaking realm on the Minwo Earth list. There were 4 others, each stronger than the other. They were Jiying, who ranked 15th on the Minwa Heaven list, Siri, who ranked 9th, Luo, who ranked 4th, and Li Mu Bai, who ranked 3rd. Even King Tianyao couldn't get a good result. Taking a step back, although Lin Feng's choice was a little cowardly, it was the wisest. This kid is very smart, bold, and cautious. He is most suitable to be the successor of the Glory Alliance. King White Tiger praised Lin Feng. I didn't expect him to get the 5th Great Yu Imperial Crystal. If he becomes the king of the Glory Alliance in the future, with Li Poji, Li Lang, and Little White Tiger, it is absolutely possible for them to suppress the Luo Shun Alliance. King White Tiger was not thirsty for the Great Yu Imperial Crystal like King Tianyao. Firstly, he knew his own strength. Secondly, even if the Glory Alliance got the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, it would be for King Tianyao. As for King Fan Xing, he didn't care. He was a calm person who went with the flow. If it was fated, it would be there. If it was not, one should not force it. But this was the Glory Alliance. Whether Lin Feng sold it or not, he was in an invincible position. For other forces, The value of the Great U Imperial Crystal was indisputable, especially for the 5 clans of Miracle Garden. Only the Feiji clan got the Great U Imperial Crystal. How could the other 4 clans let them have it? Especially the Crimson Sun clan, which was ranked first among the 5 clans. With 3 experts on the Heaven Roll, the Crimson Sun clan was not only the strongest among the 5 clans, but also the only one in the Nirvana world. In this competition for the U Imperial Crystal, the Crimson Sun clan was led by Chi Yu. 3 of the 6 life-breaking experts came, 2 of the life-breaking experts from the Royal clans came, and 1 of the Miracle Saint came. A total of 6 life-breaking experts. It was enough to show how important this competition was. Although the Crimson Sun clan was waiting and watching, it didn't mean they would give up this last hope. As the leader of the 5 clans, the Crimson Sun clan was the boss of Miracle Garden in every aspect, including financial resources. As the bids came one after another, the Clear Sky clan, the Hunling clan, and the Yen Mo clan couldn't compete. Finally, the Crimson Sun clan made a move. Super Heaven Grade Perfect Saint Treasure, Dark Crook Star. As soon as Chi Yu's voice faded, there was silence. So far, the most valuable treasure had appeared. Chapter 1070. Dark Melody Star. Poor Yama's eyes widened. The Yama race had wanted Dark Melody Star for a long time, but this famous treasure went missing after its previous owner, Yin Yun, died. No matter how hard the Yama race tried to find it, they couldn't find it. They didn't expect it to fall into the hands of the Crimson Sun race. Poor Yama's eyes showed desire. As the King of Darkness, he had a strong desire for Dark Melody Star. Lin Feng's attention was focused on poor Yama. His expression was not fake. Every member of the Yama race was proficient in the Great Tao of Darkness. Even poor Yama, ranked 7th on the demon list, valued Dark Melody Star so much. Only the Crimson Sun clan, who was extremely wealthy, could afford it. The Light Race. Although Dark Melody Star was a perfect super heaven-grade saint treasure, it was useless to the experts of the Crimson Sun race. Their clansmen might cultivate the lightning, earth, een, 5 elements, etc., but no one would cultivate the dark element, which was the exact opposite. Even if they sold Dark Melody Star, they wouldn't be able to exchange it for a treasure of the same level, because the Yama race was most eager for a super heaven-grade saint treasure. The Crimson Sun race wouldn't sell it to their competitors. There was complete silence. The Hunling race, Zhao Tian race, Glory Alliance, Starry Hall, and Peerless Hall, who had been bidding, all quieted down. They knew they couldn't outbid the Crimson Sun race. Besides, the value of the Great U Imperial Crystal was only between a super heaven-grade saint treasure and a perfect saint treasure. The Crimson Sun race's price was too high. Even if they entered the U Emperor Divine Realm with a Great U Imperial Crystal, they couldn't get the same return. Lin Feng looked at Dark Melody Star floating in front of him. It was neither a weapon nor an armor. He looked at Chi Yu, who shook his head. I don't know much about Dark Melody Star. Its previous owner, Yin Yun, used it to assist in battle. This should be a control-type saint treasure. A control-type saint treasure? Lin Feng looked at Chi Yu, but he kept looking at poor Yama. His intuition told him that poor Yama must know a lot about Dark Melody Star. Judging from his expression, he didn't even listen to Chi Yu's words. It seemed he didn't agree. A super heaven-grade saint treasure, the strongest star grade. This Dark Crook Star should be hiding a secret. Lin Feng thought to himself. Even if there were no secrets, with the perfect quality of the heaven rank, he would definitely be able to display control to the fullest. He wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be able to use it because he was already proficient in the 6 paths of darkness. The Dark Heart and the Light Heart were both 1,000 times bigger. As for what secrets were hidden, after the fusion, it was naturally clear. Lin Feng muttered to himself, while Chi Yu frowned slightly. It looks like the Crimson Sun clan is determined to get the Great U Imperial Crystal. Lin Feng thought to himself. Paying such a huge price was enough to show that in business, he hoped to maximize any transaction, even if he had already made a lot of money. Drag. The longer he delayed, the more he would gain. Suddenly, dong, dong, dong. The earth trembled as rosy clouds appeared in the distant horizon of the land of divine spirits. Streaks of exquisite light streaked across the sky like rainbows. The earth began to shake violently. All the life-breaking powerhouses' eyes lit up. They all knew what was happening. The rise of you Emperor in the immortal realm. After the 33 you Emperor crystals appeared, the you Emperor godly realm descended to the land of god spirits. Whoosh, whoosh. Two figures flew out one after the other. They were Li Mubai and Suri. They already had one great you Imperial crystal, so naturally, they weren't interested in Lin Feng's Imperial crystal. Now that the you Emperor godly realm was rising, they had to strike first to gain the upper hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Soon, the other life-breaking powerhouses flew out one after another. All of them had little you Imperial crystals. In a flash, the number of outsiders in the stone formation decreased. Brother Lin, have you thought about it? Qi was a little anxious. Ji Ying had already raised his hand to bid farewell and left like the wind. He also wanted to get the great you Imperial crystal as soon as possible. He didn't want to be left behind. Opportunities were right there. If he was a step late, it was very likely that someone else would get it first. Lin Feng smiled in his heart, but he didn't show it. Brother Lin, Qi was anxious. As the Luo Shan Alliance and the Peerless Palace left, the winners of the 5 Great Yu Imperial Crystals had also left. Lin Feng nodded. I'm willing to make a deal, but, Brother Lin, what else do you want? Just tell me. Qi was not stupid, but he was so anxious that he couldn't care less. Lin Feng smiled and said, Senior, you're a straightforward person. Then I'll be frank. Other than the Dark Curve Star, I want a little you Imperial Crystal. The other life-breaking powerhouses around him widened their eyes. Lin Feng was too ruthless. Not only did he want to exchange a hen for an old cow, but he also wanted a chick. Fine. Qi gritted his teeth. For him, time was everything. He waved his hand, and a water caltrip crystal fragment was thrown over. Lin Feng caught it with one hand and threw the Great Yu Imperial Crystal to the Dark Curve Star. Happy cooperation. Qi Yu's face turned bitter. He didn't say anything and just nodded. Then he led the other Crimson Sun experts to the land of god spirits. However, there was still joy in his eyes. For Qi Yu, although the price was a little high, he was happy to get the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Besides, the Crimson Sun clan could afford it. Looking at the departing figures of the Crimson Sun experts, Lin Feng smiled. He put the Dark Curve Star into his storage ring and held the free water caltrip crystal fragment in his hand. He had also profited greatly. This deal could be said to be a win-win situation. He knew very well that the 5 clans of Tian Mo, who had taken at least 11 little Yu Imperial Crystals, wouldn't care too much about it. After all, there were limited experts. For Qi Yu, the Great Yu Imperial Crystal had reduced the value of the Little Yu Imperial Crystal by 80%. Besides, the Crimson Sun clan might have taken more than 1 Little Yu Imperial Crystal. Haha, impressive, Lin Feng. In the end, you even took a piece of flesh from the Crimson Sun clan. King White Tiger walked over with a smile. Well done. King Fan Xing also smiled and said, The Crimson Sun clan has 3 Little Yu Imperial Crystals. They don't care about losing one, but it's very useful to you. Take this Little Yu Imperial Crystal and enter the Yu Emperor Divine Realm. Maybe you can get some treasures. Lin Feng smiled. The Crimson Sun clan was indeed rich. Since they could afford the Great Yu Imperial Crystal, they could certainly afford the Little Yu Imperial Crystal. King Tian Yao looked coldly at Lin Feng. He was still angry. After all, he was the leader of the Glory Alliance. He felt a little embarrassed when Lin Feng brushed him off like that. But what was done was done. He didn't want to say anything more. After all, Lin Feng was still a member of the Glory Alliance. Yours, King Fan Xing. Lin Feng handed over the Little Yu Imperial Crystal. Mine? King Fan Xing was a little stunned. Lin Feng stuffed the Little Yu Imperial Crystal into his hand and said with a smile, 2 years ago, I owed you a favor. King Fan Xing had helped him a lot that day. Now, as long as it was within his power, he should return the favor. A little bit of kindness should be repaid with a gushing spring. See you in the Yu Emperor Divine Realm. Lin Feng didn't explain much and disappeared. Chapter 1071. Lin Feng's actions stunned the people of Glory Alliance. No one expected him to give a little U Imperial Crystal to King Fan Xing. The most embarrassed person was King Heavenly Glory. He had the same thought, but he didn't say it out loud. King Fan Xing knew what Lin Feng meant by favor 2 years ago. However, at that time, it was just a convenient promotion for a junior. You reap what you sow, King White Tiger said softly as he glanced at King Heavenly Glory. This favor is really big. King Fan Xing sighed. Glory Alliance only got 2 little U Imperial Crystals. Originally, he had given up on entering U Emperor's Divine Realm. However, he didn't expect things to turn around. King Fan Xing held the little U Imperial Crystal in his hand and looked at the land of God's spirits in the distance. His eyes were filled with excitement. King White Tiger smiled and said, "With the addition of 4th brother, we have more strength to enter U Emperor's Divine Realm. Master, it seems like something is wrong." Little White Tiger muttered at the side. "What's wrong?" King White Tiger was surprised. Little White Tiger hesitated for a moment and said, "Before Brother Lin Feng left, he said, 'See you in U Emperor's Divine Realm.'" Everyone was stunned. "That's what he said." Sword Beauty nodded. "Ah." Even Ban Bo, who was the slowest to react, understood. King Heavenly Glory frowned and said in a deep voice, "Lin Feng still has 1 little U Imperial Crystal." White Tiger King laughed involuntarily and said, "This little fellow has really hidden his strength well. We, the Glory Alliance, have only managed to get 2 little U Emperor Crystals, but he alone has gotten 2 little U Emperor Crystals, 1 big and 1 small. No wonder he sold the Great U Imperial Crystal." "Master, I still don't understand. Why didn't Lin Feng sell the little U Imperial Crystal?" Little White Tiger asked. "I also don't know what he is selling. Maybe the Great U Imperial Crystal is worth more." King White Tiger looked into the distance and said, "I have a feeling that he knows more than us. However, no matter what, Lin Feng is a righteous person. Our Glory Alliance can't mistreat him." His voice was calm, but there was a hidden meaning behind it. "Let's go too," King Heavenly Glory said. "Let's keep an eye on those people from Luo Shan Alliance." Of course. The White Tiger King smiled. Lin Feng had his own plans. He did not know much about the divine realm of U Emperor. The only difference between him and Glory Alliance was that he had obtained both Great U Imperial Crystals and Little U Imperial Crystals. "Even if my guess is wrong, I won't lose anything." Lin Feng was very satisfied with the deal. Instead of fighting against the U Emperor Immortal Realm, he might as well take a perfect heaven-grade holy treasure. What was in U Emperor Divine Realm? It was most likely a cosmic system-state treasure. He didn't lack such treasures. Other than the nefarious Black Blade, he also had the Golden Crown. Even his avatar had the skeleton armor. When the Black Blade of Sin's new spirit's soul grows up, it won't be any weaker than an ancient treasure. Lin Feng was very clear. Even if he entered with the Great U Imperial Crystal, how many chances did he have to compete with top experts like Luo, Death Anniversary, and Li Mu Bai? He was all brawn and no brains. Big things have big uses, small things have small uses. Lin Feng gradually went deeper and deeper. He did not move at full speed. After all, there was still the Luo Shan Alliance ahead. He had to be on guard. There was no need to worry about getting lost. He just needed to follow the direction of the place of God. The other warriors also walked the same path. "Just right. I can save energy." Lin Feng smiled. Along the way, he could feel the chaotic aura and energy. There was a faint smell of blood at the tip of his nose. There would be many dangers on the way from the ruins of gods to the place of God. Many mutated ancient beasts and ancient divine beasts lived here. With his current strength, he was not afraid, but there was no need to waste his strength. With someone leading the way, he felt relaxed. Entering the place of God. What a special energy. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. The moment he entered the place of God, he felt a change. The air here no longer contained pure cosmic energy, but a kind of mutated energy. For many warriors, the cosmic energy here needed to be filtered and was full of impurities. In fact, that was not the case. It's a kind of energy created by technology, Lin Feng thought. It was similar to the spiritual energy liquid on Earth, but different. It contained cosmic energy and dark matter at the same time. Its composition was very complicated. Absorbing it would increase one's strength and body. This kind of mixed energy should be the ruins of gods was originally the cultivation energy of life. Lin Feng thought. It was the previous generation of life on Nemo planet. The devil race experts who walked the path of technology had a different cultivation method from humans. Huff, huff, Lin Feng smiled. In this place, he did not feel any discomfort. Instead, his body was very excited. Is it because I am proficient in the Tao of darkness? Or is it something else? Lin Feng sped forward. No, save me. In the place of God, the battle was very intense. A few Heaven Glimpse experts who wanted to see the true face of Yu Huang's divine realm were bitten by an ancient beast that was as black as a leopard. Its whole body was like a black machine, shining brightly. It roared and released a heavy pressure. This steel black panther was not only as fast as the wind, but its attacks also contained the Tao of darkness. How? The earth shook as it roared. Its black claws waved and showed the profound meaning of devouring. The attacks of the Heaven Glimpse experts fell on its black steel skin, but could not break its defense. Regardless of strength or defense, this steel black panther was comparable to the strongest heavenly devil, the curse-breaking heavenly devil. In an instant, the few Heaven Glimpse experts were torn into pieces. Ow! The steel black panther was like a winner. It raised its head and roared. It seemed to be warning the puny humans that this was its territory. The place of God spirits was not to be entered. Damn death anniversary. Zhu Qing was furious. Damn it. You ran away quickly and left this damn thing to us. The white wolf's face was ferocious. Don't talk nonsense. Finish it quickly. Luo was the calmest of them all. Even though it was 1 against 2, he was still able to quickly gain the upper hand. Wherever the green sword in his hand passed, it was like a flying flower picking leaves, causing several black, crystal lion-shaped monsters to howl in pain. Zhu Qing, White Wolf, Inli Zi, Sandu Lang Jun, and the group of 5 from the Luotian Alliance were currently fighting. They were unlucky and met the most troublesome ancient beast. It was not just one, but a group of 7 lion-shaped monsters. Their bodies were pitch black and their muscles were like crystals. Even their wings were made of black crystals. They were invulnerable and their defense was shockingly strong. Damn it, I can't use my full strength here. Zhu Qing waved his iron claws. Me too, this damn place. The white wolf gritted his teeth. This is the center of the God Spirit ruins, the place where the legendary God Spirit lives. Luo's expression did not change. His green sword shone brightly and endless sword light scattered out. It was like the dew from the heavens. In an instant, the 2 black crystal flying lions fighting with him were torn apart. The place of God's spirits cannot be blasphemed. Chapter 1072. The Luotian Union wasn't the only one that encountered danger in the land of God's spirits. The 5 clans of Tian Mo, Starry Hall, Kuan Hall, and Peerless Hall had all encountered trouble. They had heard of the horror of the land of God's spirits. Even life-breaking stage experts would fall here. This time, they had witnessed it for themselves. Many of them were experienced, such as Luo and Zhu Qing. As experts on the heaven list, they were strong enough to protect themselves. There were also many inexperienced ones, such as the 3 princesses of the Peerless Hall. But no matter what, as long as they weren't as unlucky as the Luotian Union and encountered groups of mutated beasts, life-breaking stage experts would have no problem protecting themselves. As for Heaven Glimpse experts, the environment here wasn't suitable for them to survive. Of course, there were exceptions. Whoosh! Lin Feng sped through. His strong sensing ability allowed him to avoid many dangers. The predecessors plant the trees, and the descendants enjoy the shade. Lin Feng was scared, but not in danger. He followed behind the big group and didn't make a move. Entering early wasn't necessarily a good thing, at least for him. He had to be more careful if he was alone. Lin Feng didn't want to move together with the Glory Alliance, but he could see that King Tianyao still had some opinions about him. People with different principles couldn't work together. He did things with a clear conscience, so he naturally didn't care about what King Tianyao thought of him. It was just that their relationship was awkward, so it might not be good to force them to move together. This is the legendary land of God's spirits. It really lives up to its reputation. Lin Feng deliberately slowed down. Along the way, he had seen countless corpses of experts. Many heaven glimpse experts who wanted to see the real face of Yu Huang's immortal realm retreated in defeat. Of course, most of them were solo experts without the protection of a force. Heaven glimpse experts like the Red Sun clan and the Feiji clan moving together were naturally safe and sound. Lin Feng stopped. He sensed that there was a fierce battle not far away. It's the three princesses of the Peerless Hall. Everyone's aura was the most prominent characteristic and unique. Lin Feng recognized the aura of Princess Li and Princess Qi. The strongest aura was Princess Qi's. Ranked 36th on the Minhwa list, Lin Feng remembered very clearly that the highest ranking in the Peerless Hall was the 11th Peerless Empress, followed by Princess Qi. She had inherited her mother's teachings, and her talent and potential were not inferior in the slightest. At such a young age, she was already ranked on the Peerless Earth roll. Apart from her own strength, Princess Qi and Princess Li also contributed a lot to Princess Qiong being able to obtain a Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Let's go and have a look. Lin Feng had a good impression of the three princesses of the Peerless Hall, especially Princess Li. He likes to deal with smart people. The Peerless Hall stands tall in the Nirvana world because of three things. The first is sword skill. The second is movement skill. The third is beauty. Lin Feng looked down. The third princesses each had their own strengths. Princess Qi's swordsmanship was like a rainbow, and her sword heart was unique. It was even better than his own saber heart. She was indeed worthy of being a martial artist on the Earth rankings. Then he looked at Princess Li. The princess, who was famous for her intelligence, didn't show her talent. Her body movements were like that of a fairy in a painting. She was good at dancing. Her sword movements were clear and concise. Her gestures were charming and charming. He couldn't figure out her strength at all. Ranked 86th on the Minhwa list, Lin Feng remembered very clearly because Princess Li's ranking was just after King Fan Xing's. Her sword heart is good, her movement skill is outstanding, and she also cultivates the holy power. Lin Feng sensed clearly that Princess Li had the cultivation of Heaven Wu. Although Princess Li hid it well, he could feel that she also had the cultivation of Heaven Wu. It was just that her holy power was not very strong. She hid her strength. Lin Feng thought secretly. While he was thinking, he suddenly felt a gaze on him. It was Princess Li, who was like a butterfly dancing among flowers. She smiled at him, and her charm was even better than Manzi's. Apparently, she had found out that he could still notice her in the fierce battle. Not simple. Lin Feng was not afraid of anything. It was not a big deal to see her. In his opinion, Princess Li's real strength was very likely to be ranked on the Minhwa Earth list. Princess Li was the weakest among the three princesses, but her movement skill is the most powerful among the three princesses. She is as light as a feather, and her body seems to be boneless. No wonder she could seize the Great Yu Imperial Crystal. Lin Feng judged. The three princesses had their own strengths, and they were not weak when they joined forces. But in terms of combat strength, they were still the weakest among the three halls. Because the Peerless Queen, who was ranked 11th on the Minhwa Heaven list, was not here. The Xingqian Hall had the Master of the Xingqian Hall, who was ranked 10th on the Minhwa Heaven list. The Kuan Hall had King Kuan, who was ranked 13th on the Minhwa Heaven list. But the good thing about the Peerless Palace was that they were three weak women, and they had a good relationship with other forces, so they would not make enemies. But for himself, how can a hero save a damsel in distress? Princess Li's voice came into his ears. Lin Feng also smiled. Although he was far away and only caught a glimpse, he understood what Princess Li meant. Without thinking, Lin Feng immediately took action. Whoosh! Like an arrow piercing through the clouds, he shot out directly. Lin Feng's black saber of Sin showed its outstanding power. Different from the soft power of the three princesses, the power of the saber was fierce and boundless. The power of the origin bloomed in an instant, and it went straight to Princess Li, who was the weakest. Princess Li, who restrained the black crystal savage beast with her wonderful movement skill, flashed her beautiful eyes and moved swiftly. Howl! The black crystal savage beast's horn gave out a black light beam, and it suddenly turned to stab at Princess Li. But it missed. Lin Feng's attack came from behind in an instant. The black saber of sin burst out a terrible power and hit the black crystal savage beast. Lin Feng severely injured the black crystal savage beast with his saber. Blood splattered everywhere, and the black crystal savage beast fell heavily to the ground. Bang! The powerful counterforce bounced Lin Feng away, and his hand went numb. What a strong defense! Lin Feng's heart trembled. This was the first time he had come into contact with a truly mutated dire beast. Originally, dire beasts of the ancient era were known for their physical strength. After mutating, they had absorbed the energy of science and technology to grow. Their bodies had become even more abnormally strong. They were even sturdier than demon experts of the same level. Ow! After being injured, the black crystal savage beast became even crazier. It stared at Lin Feng fiercely with its fierce eyes and attacked fiercely. Its defense was not the only thing that was strong. Its vitality is also terrifying. Although Lin Feng hadn't used his full strength just now, his attack was already very powerful. The black crystal savage beast could not only stand up quickly, but also counterattack. Its strength was much stronger than the ordinary ancient beasts. Boom! The black crystal savage beast's horn lit up with a spiral black light beam. The Tao of dark matter. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He used the Tao of dark matter almost at the same time. The heart of darkness shone brightly. He could feel that the Tao of dark matter was the most stable and powerful among the six Tao of darkness. The opposite of light. Lin Feng used the Tao of dark matter to drive the black saber of sin. Thousand saber art. Invincible saber. The divine inscriptions appeared. Lin Feng tried to use the black crystal savage beast. The black crystal savage beast was killed by the black crystal savage sword.